please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, led by Andrea. Put you on the spot.
I haven't done this in many years. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So you get the first slot here. We make you do the most work. That's how this works.
Oh, boy.
Okay, budget workshop number 3 starts with the library. And for those that are not aware, library has its own fund, an L fund. And so it has to balance its own budget at the end of the day. And so it makes it a little bit interesting, to say the least. And we'll have Andrea go through her stuff here, essentially, for the budget.
Okay, so do you want to go through it or should I go through it?
Well, we walk line by line, and we'll walk you through any questions we'll have along the way with any changes, et cetera, or any requests that you are making in addition to normal. You might want to highlight those.
So the personnel line represents a 2.5 increase, and I assume that includes any raises incorporated in the New York State minimum wage increases. Those are all built in.
It would be 2.5 on top of the minimum wage, right?
I believe so. Yep.
Okay.
We're currently at minimum wage, and
Yes.
some of them is where we're going with that. The
Okay.
current minimum wage. Yep.
Okay, and then the next line is the equipment line, and that's 5,000, which is the same from last fiscal year, and that will help us stay current on our technology acquisitions, our computers, our monitors. I do that. I swap out computers and monitors every year, just so it's not all at the same time. And that is dictated by Southern Adirondack Library System. They will only service computers for just so long. So that forces us to stay current with technology. And so that $5,000 will go toward swapping out the oldest computers. I think we have 3 left, and swapping out some monitors because some of the new computers, they're not compatible with the older monitors that we have.
Did you spend the 5,000 last year? It's
Just about. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
But it's just not recorded in there.
Right. So, yeah, so we have almost all new computers for the public.
When did you buy them, out of curiosity?
A few months ago.
And did the invoice come over?
Yeah.
Did we miscode?
I don't know. I can go up.
Yeah,
Well, no,
my-
I can't.
Well, we'll look at that for later then, because what I mean by miscode is something getting dinged on one of your other lines for
Yeah.
those equipment purchases.
Was it,
For
from,
supplies.
was it from Sal's? I think that just got paid
Okay.
recently. So it would have
Okay.
That
been
might be
a
it then.
recent abstract.
Got it.
All right. Sounds good. Okay. And then the next one is the building improvements line that we're asking for 10,000, which past fiscal years has been 10,000, and that will go toward any kind of consultant fees with Paul Mays, who we've been working with for our capital campaign. And we're also asking for a one-time 20,000 pre-construction amount that will also help us get ready for our phase 1A and 1B. That way we have all our ducks in a row. So when it's time to bid it out, then we're ready. And we met with Paul the other night, the mayor, and Liz, just so they're all on the same page. They know what's going on. So we're asking for 30 in total. And that includes the 10,000, which we've asked for previous years, plus the one-time 20,000 pre-construction costs. And then the next ones are the same as other years. Just, we try to keep our expenses as low as possible. So there's no increases too much, except for phone and internet, a little bit of an increase there. And then also we have repairs and maintenance in case anything happens with the boiler or anything like that. We'd have a cushion for that. Supplies will stay the same. We try to live within our means. But then the other are costs to Southern Adirondack Library System. They're the ones that allow us to circulate. Their fees have gone up a little bit. It's bumped up, but we cannot run business without them. So that there's a slight increase that is represented in our request.
So Andrea, in this, we have an estimated revenue sheet that Barbara had asked you to assemble for us, because this is a little more difficult for us from time to time on library side of it. And it comes up with about 106,000, give or take, I think it was. The total of the request is about 200,000 and change. So how do we make up the rest? Are there grants or something that we're not seeing, or sales money or something along those lines?
Sales money, I looked historically speaking, and it's usually around 1,500, give or take.
So the rest comes from our tax warrant, basically, is the assumption. Got it.
Yeah.
Is that 30,000? If it's not a complete 30,000, does your whole rehab stop in its tracks? Or is there any flexibility with that 30? Or you need every dime of that?
We're going to need it, I think. I'm pretty sure we're going to need it.
What was the revenue number again?
So
106,000?
Yeah.
106,000, Frank said?
Give or take on that. Yep.
106, so that's a pretty big gap. In the past, you were able to be pretty close, as I remember.
Did your revenue?
Well, I will tell you, this is not final on this one by any stretch of the imagination, but we've had some back and forth. So I think we're close, at the very least, that the library fund tax warrant share is 109,920 was the last guesstimate on this one. Because of the missing number, I'm willing to go out on a limb to give that number tonight, which again, don't hold anybody to it, but just so you understand, where does that put it if that's the case? Do you have the revenue versus the expenses?
I was just doing the math on the revenue, which is 106,502.
Okay. So that makes it 216,422. And now let's look at the expenses real quick on the sheet and make sure we're good to go. Although I have a feeling we won't be for one reason, but we'll see how we make it up.
So the 106 from revenues plus the tax warrant. Is that correct?
Hold on, let us get these numbers down to help everybody out here.
And then they're looking at the income.
So, want the good news or the bad news?
always the good news.
The good news is what's creating the issues, the extra $20,000.
Okay.
What's the total expense?
The bad news is that compared to the 216,422 in anticipated revenue, you're at 230,643. So you're basically minus $14,221. So what I think, well, one thing is that from my memory last night, there may be some grant money that's going to be associated with that 20,000 eventually coming in, correct? What level of it was it? Do you remember offhand?
I'm not sure.
Any recollection on that aspect of it?
I wasn't there.
I know. It's okay.
Well, I know you're going after a lot of grant
Yeah,
money.
so we might be able to recoup that. Like say we
Correct.
were to get a grant that covered that.
My feeling is that we probably, to balance the budget, including this 30,000, is offered the 14,000 and a fund balance and place it into library for the purpose of balancing the budget. And if it's, we will not make that transfer in the budget year unless it becomes necessary to do so. Because once you put the money in, you can't get it back out of L fund. So that would at least make sure that the budget balance, which we need to do without having to make cuts, unless you see cuts you want to make there. But it looks like she's been very tight with this budget to start with.
Yeah, the other thing is, I mean, I know it's a separate fund, but if you look at library a little bit, like look at the fire department, and they have revenue and they have, services, but the village pays for the building, and what they're doing is the building. So, I think there is some logic in the village supporting their effort to update the building. So,
But my biggest concern is just the fact that L has to balance. There's no
Oh, yeah.
way against that.
No,
And
but-
so I just want to make sure we know how we're balancing it. I'm not trying to take anything away from her on this. It's just a question of making sure L balances.
no, I know that, but I mean, from sort of the perspective of an entity that generates revenue and balancing it, and the way we deal with, the fire department, we maintain the buildings, and you're supporting your library services.
Right.
Your solution sounds reasonable, to be honest.
Thanks.
To
Yeah.
just make sure we're going to get
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I mean, one way we can cut some of the budget is phone and internet. I feel like our phone service is ridiculously high with Cornerstone. If there's any way we can look into other sources, I think we can cut way down.
We've been trying,
Yeah.
and to be honest with you, the upfront costs on some of these things are horrendous.
Yeah.
But Jen keeps trying to
Yeah.
see what other solutions we have. So for now,
Okay.
we'll keep it budgeted as is in the hopes
Okay.
that we don't have to stay there
Yeah.
for the entire year either. in that
Right.
respect.
I mean, would it have to be a holistic thing with the phone service? Like if we have a service and then you guys have a service, like, does it have to be?
We try to keep it unified because I think it's the best price
Okay.
point ultimately.
Okay.
But
All right.
we are
All right.
definitely looking into options.
Okay.
It happened the last year. Just nothing's been jumping out
Yeah.
saying, yeah, this is the right one.
Okay.
Is that, that service, is that landline or cell or a combination?
It's landline.
I
Yeah.
mean, you wonder at some point, how many landlines do you need? I
Right.
mean,
Right.
you look at the new generation, they don't have a landline. Now, I know for a municipality, you have to have some
Sure.
for emergency, but if you have a number of people with cell phones, that might be,
Mhm.
you'd have to look at the difference.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, in a library setting, I think there's an expectation that you do have something hardwired there.
Dedicated. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was just something that I was thinking about. One way to cut back.
But again, what's causing the overage is not in its entirety the $20,000 one-time expense
Mhm.
that we talked about kind of ad nauseam in between each other. We kind of knew this was coming, and so it is what it is at this point. I think we have a solution to handle it, and if we don't have to push it over to there, we won't ultimately.
The
Okay.
boiler, that 3,000, that's to repair the boiler?
That's for any building repair.
Oh, okay, not just.
Boiler being
Anyway.
probably the most, that or the AC, AC maintenance.
Will that take care of that issue or?
No, that's just if we turn on the AC on the first day, hot day, and it doesn't turn on.
Okay.
So maintenance, sometimes the boiler pipes get clogged and whatnot, so just maintenance
Right.
at this point.
Okay.
So at the end of the day, that could be, 1 year you spent more than that next year. you spent less.
Exactly, it fluctuates.
Yeah.
For sure. And these estimates of revenue, I've never had to prepare it before. So the library charges is reflecting our desire to become fine-free starting June 1st.
Right. Sorry, I forgot to mention that.
Yeah, yes, which is perfect for everyone. it evens the playing field. We feel strongly that this is the direction that the library has to go in. Many of our peer libraries have also gone fine-free. People are still responsible for the things they check out. So if they damage it, lose it, they still have to pay. But if they're a week late, something happens, they're not saddled with our movie fines it could be up to $10. You take out 5 movies and that's $50. For some of our low income families, they'll never be able to use the library or the computer services again until they take care of it. So we feel strongly that this is something, a direction we have to go into. So to recoup some of those fines, we've cut back on our expenditures even leading up to it. I've been cutting different things like standing order plans, where we would receive, certain types of books. We've cut that. We've started relying on central ordering for paper products from the DPW instead of buying our own. So we're very mindful of how we can recoup those costs.
DPW loves that fact because it kills their budget lines, but
We need toilet
I know,
paper.
most of that.
I know.
Jeff was always like, I don't know why our supply line's so high. We're like, we actually know.
I think going fine free also probably encourages people to not be afraid to bring it back. And
Exactly.
so you're gonna lose less items, I imagine.
Exactly.
So I have to look at the bookshelf and see.
Yeah, right.
Mine are probably from Voorheesville, but
We'll get our patrons back.
How much did you make last year? What did you say? Do you know?
2,000 to 3,000. I think.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
They were trying to do it mid-year, and Andy and I had to talk about it. We're like, the best time to do it is at a new budget year, just
I agree.
to make sure that this budget didn't get imbalanced this year in LA. And so she worked with us, and Andrea was very good to work to get us those numbers, and that's how we arrived at it.
It's a lot of delinquent people. $2,000 to $3,000.
Yeah.
well,
But
there's
it's
other
also
fees,
not
too.
just overdues. It's
Oh,
for
okay.
printing. It's for faxing. It's amazing
okay.
how popular our fax service is. It's amazing.
People are still vaccinated.
Oh,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Some things
Every
require it still to this
day.
day.
Every day. Our copier services. So some of our other services, we might increase those just a little. We're charging 10 cents for copies. So we're thinking maybe 20 cents, just up it just a tiny little bit. Those are, aren't basic things, but they're necessities for people,
Well, the library, in the years that I've been attending, watching budget sessions, even before I was elected, the library was always like, yep, Andrew's got it under control.
I try. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
We actually allow for
Public comment?
public comment in these situations, and I appreciate people having a little patience here as we went to color bars again for some reason, but I think we fixed our video at this point, so we're good to go. Anybody in the house or on Zoom that would like to give any comments for 90 seconds on the relevant topic, which is library budget? Those hands just went straight up real fast, there, everyone. And nobody on Zoom here. So it looks like you are believed.
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Good luck.
I am thrilled that we're doing improvements. at the library. It's a gateway into the village, and it is such a hub for people. And it's, now that I discovered Libby, I don't know, don't get rid of that.
Oh, no.
That services so many people.
Mhm. Yep.
You know my name, because
I think it was Ellie Dillon.
you got it.
The address escapes me. Go ahead.
116 Malta Avenue.
116 Malta Avenue.
Alton spot.
I've heard of it.
Anyhow, I'm thrilled that we're looking down the line and improving the structure. It's hurting.
And the amenities, more meeting space, more computers, more, quiet space if you need to.
What are you doing with the computers that you access?
We have to give them back to Sal's and they wipe it. What they do after, I'm not sure. Maybe they donate it to a worthy cause that repurposes. I would hope so. I should ask them that.
Okay.
Okay,
you.
thanks so much.
Thanks, Andrew.
Have a good night.
You tell me.
There's two left. Culture or carpentry? I don't think Caitlin's here yet, so.
Did friends of the library want to talk to us for any reason? I meant to ask that. Christine's here. So are you all good, Christine?
I'm sorry. Somebody keeps texting me.
No problem.
Something with friends is like, what?
Was there anything, do you guys have a bunch of requests in or no? I
I didn't.
No.
don't think so. No, okay.
No.
So you're all good then? Just want to make sure got everybody covered in the crowd.
Thank you.
Andy, you're good to go too.
I'm good. Thank you so much, everybody, and thank you so much for your support for the library. I really appreciate all of it. So thank you.
Thank you.
So for most of the nonprofit requests, you guys
I
had
would say.
the requests themselves, the handwritten ones, right?
Friends of the library. You
That
get
you
only
emailed.
$5
Okay.
on copying and printing, in fact. I'm just
And if
saying.
you're going to do the whole spiel, how much is it for a membership fee, Friends of the Library?
Yes, it doesn't matter. It's up to $5 a year.
It's a credit.
And thank you, yes, Frankie, it's $5 for an individual, $10 for a family, and $25 for a business.
So basically, you have $5 a copying to do in a year as an individual. You'll get it back by
Yep.
just being a member right away. So there you go.
Christine, if you're a friend of the library, can you still look at the book sales and get a free book for doing it?
You do get one free book at a special, at an event. Yeah, you get
I think we're
it.
selling books and it's sale.
Yeah, sure.
That would be bad. That would be bad.
So,
Yes.
I just like working, it's like working at practice, I just like working in.
Most of these.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's just.
I have to
I do
pull
like
some books together.
BACC.
Well, no, she's not here either. She's supposed to come.
Oh, I didn't know they were
Ask them.
coming. I thought,
You probably could
We
do,
invited ASCC because they're ASCC. We invited BACC. Enough CCs
There's a
around
lot
here.
of, yeah.
there's BARC and BACC and
ASCC or ASK, depending on how you call it now.
for Park and Tree, this does not include like the 20,000 we've been going back and forth on,
No,
Right.
that
is
came,
this, right, later. So do you want to just talk about this, or you want to talk about this plus whatever came later? Or
I thought we were going to do the right thing to wait for Caitlin at this point. She's coming, and Ray's shaking his head yes. So, yeah.
you think-
okay,
Yeah, all right,
she's got a
okay.
yoga class. It's conflicted. So,
We should have started there. All of us.
Right.
so just go down the culture. Nobody's coming from Fund for the Arts,
Oh, yeah, Committee on the Arts.
Committee on the Arts.
Not that I know of, so we could
Funds for
start
the
there.
Arts, Committees for the Arts. Yeah.
Well, to a certain degree, I'm going to assume that Bernadette and Ben can give some credence to some of the points here. I think with a question for Fund for the Arts is what was a part of a grant from Saratoga Arts grants?
They still don't have answers yet on that,
Right.
so it should be coming soon.
Mhm.
I can text one of
So,
the Kates to see.
yeah, the banners that they're proposing, that was Saratoga Arts. The Sounds of Ballston Spa, I think they did with Saratoga Arts.
Well, Sounds of Ballston Spa, I think that's still Village. They applied for additional funds to do chamber music at the Brookside Museum inside. So that's what they applied for, pretty sure.
Not the Sounds of Ballston Spa?
No, I think they consider that they consider that a village project.
There's,
But I can
it's four
try to get hold
concerts.
of one of.
I thought Sounds of Ballston Spa included both the inside and outside stuff. Well, we have the email.
Yeah, we can
Yeah.
start.
I mean, overall, if you do a total, of all of these, it's 96% higher than the previous year. So it clearly needs to come down.
You're stopping at the plain air.
No, I'm looking at the total.
Well, the
total.
plain area is supposed to have a revenue component to it,
Yeah.
It does.
as explained, yes. Plain air, the 23.
Yeah, I have 1,000 coming in. So
Oh,
it's still, it's in this explanation.
but is that accounted for in their request?
Yes, there is a revenue line elsewhere that will offset the 2350, presumably. We can't say for sure how many people will sign up, but that was the assumption that they would have
So-
people sign up.
So that has a revenue line to go with it. Okay, so that it can, essentially, it can stay.
Right. So they did apply for Sounds of Ballston Spa, or the Saratoga Arts, they applied for the Sounds of Ballston Spa. I'm looking at the request here.
Okay.
And this is half the amount required that would go to the American Federation of Musicians, Local 506, for the rest of the funds,
So is that for 1,400?
about half.
No, well, wait a minute, your
2,600.
2,600 is the total?
Yeah, well, actually, I think that's half of the total cost.
That's a $5,000 concert series?
Requested fund we used to pay the remaining portion. Yeah, it says expected cost our half for the 4 concerts, 2,500. So there's a bunch of professional musicians, so I guess they each get paid $1 dollars.
So it's the other.
But
half.
they are going to the Saratoga Arts. I think that this is actually particularly different from anything else we had. And it's leveraged with another 2,600. I'm all right with that part, especially if we get the Saratoga Arts grant. I could see reducing the banner thing instead of 2, just 1.
Yeah, I think
And that's also a Saratoga Arts request, though. Who knows? They could get it.
Well-
Then we wouldn't have to pay it off. The other thing,
I mean, the website 500, that's not much, and the flyer makes sense.
yeah,
So most of these are, so there is going to be potential revenue to offset some of this,
well,
but you're proposing cutting
all the,
the banners in half.
Guys, I'm so terrible. I'm trying to read this.
I know it's small. I got my glasses on.
Um,
Yeah, if we have to, so we're in this position, this is going to be true for the rest of this conversation tonight, is we don't know our total revenue, so we don't know how much we need to cut, but these are places where we're saying, oh, these could be cut if needed, right?
We
We
could
don't know if they need to
potentially-
be cut.
Could we potentially say you have a pot of money? We don't know what your priorities are as far as what projects you think are most important.
Well, they did give us some priorities.
Yeah.
In their
Wow.
request, they put like
Yeah.
necessity scale of 1 to 10.
They're all pretty high.
And they're all-
8s and
but-
7s.
but
Yeah.
some are less than 10.
But they can shift money around,
Yeah.
you know, from their budget. If, let's say, they get a grant that covers it all, that frees
Yeah.
up some money.
The other one I could see reducing is the plain air arts. It's just expensive. It's
But what's the revenue component?
1,000. So it's 1,300. It's it's for 20. Let's see, 2 classes are 2,250. And so let's see, for these classes, they'll bring in $20 and $30, and 20 students per class. So it's not inexpensive per person. It's not crazy, but I guess it's the first time it's being done, so it's sort of pilot. It's a 7 versus a 10 with the others. So I could, if we need to, I'd be open to doing 1 instead of 2 of those.
Yeah, so that's a potential. It's very
Well,
hard with any of these because we don't know how much, and unfortunately, these are the items that you look first to cut because they're the most discretionary.
And that's what your instruction is at the end of the day, Liz. If we need to cut, this is where you want me to look to cut. That said, I remember it sounds about the spa. The way it's explained in this request is, as in former years, we anticipate the American Federation of Musicians, Local 506, to partially fund the series. Requested funds will be used to pay the remaining portion, anticipated half. Despite the cost for our half of the 4 concerts are $2,500. Budget request also includes $100 for printing flyers announcing the concerts. No, the committee has applied for a Saratoga Arts Grant to fund this project. Saratoga Arts Grant decisions are made in March. So technically, 2,600 of this is a grant anticipation, basically. Then the Iron Spring Street banners is another $2,500 attributable to another Saratoga Arts Grant that was made.
It's 5,000 in here unless we cut it in half.
The arts grant, what's the maximum arts grant? It's 5,000?
5,000.
So, okay, so then that's 5,000 toward it. 7,500 of the 12.2 plus $1,000 toward the fine arts. So that's $8,500 it appears, or $8,600. So now you're down to $3,600 unfunded. And I believe that is it for their,
So they're pretty
Yeah,
well
if the grants
funded.
come in, then
yeah.
that's great.
And we should know before we have to go to final on this.
Hopefully, yeah, you're right. I think we do. We will.
Yeah, so they're in pretty good shape if they get all those grants.
So if we need to, if they don't get the grants and we need to cut, I'm all right cutting, half a plein air, half a banners at least.
Yeah,
And
that's places.
I mean, I could even see the flyer, everything's eventually going paperless. So if people have to go to the website, it won't kill the group,
Okay,
Okay.
or they just don't make it. I don't know. 250. Design 500.
Let's go down to Bark real quick. We'll go back up to ask you. I just want to get through the rest of this sheet that we don't have to bring people up for. Bark annual support, they're asking for increase 12.1 from 11.520.
So
Seems like we've gone up in small increments the last year at least.
So what she said in her request is that she is making it, she's asking for the same amount total from the municipalities, but she's making it more proportional. And because we have a higher number or they have a higher number of people from the village, then I guess she has calculated in past years that the number's gonna, I think she did not do it proportionally in last year. In the previous year, she just sort of took whatever the year before was, kept going with it.
yeah,
This time, she actually counted up the different population groups and made it proportional. So apparently our people use it.
so,
Significantly, it's like 30%, I forget what she said, but
I'm
that's
gonna
why it went up.
be okay with this as long as we don't have to keep going down the same route with the skating rink every time.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't blame
As
you.
long as that's the case, I mean,
Yeah.
12.1 is fair and heck with
Yeah.
that discussion.
I mean, somebody that increases that small amount, it's, reasonable.
Yeah.
Historian up to 10,375, and that includes Brookside at 2,500, Bottle Museum at 3,000. Ellie,
Yes.
want to talk about that at all? I didn't even see that coming until I just opened my mouth, so that's why I'm.
Yeah.
If you want to come up, go ahead.
Ellie Dillon, 160.
Come up. You can take the chair of honor. Just watch your step on all
The
this.
hot
Sorry.
seat.
Slash hot seat.
I didn't call
Thank you
you
till a few minutes before coming down that I should come because I did ask for an increase. And
It's just good you're here. We appreciate that.
Hmm?
It's good you're here. We
Yeah,
appreciate that.
yeah.
So go ahead if you want to walk us through that idea.
Okay. We've gotten grants to upgrade the museum exhibits. We've become a popular destination for people that we redirect into the village. We train our director, who we had not had. We recently hired a full-time director to be there consistently. However, the building is the issue. We need some important electrical work to be done. And we also are the visitor center, so we were thinking that we would ask for more to get the visitor center up to snuff, make it more visible, put a flag outside, get the stand, the little wire stand, fix that up, go around. We're working with the BSBPA to get them to advertise at the museum. And we felt that we have never been in the red. We ran through the pandemic and post-pandemic on volunteers only.
I think we deserve it because we're an important part of this village. We did get a grant to fix the outside of the building, so now it fits in with the Victorian architecture. But we do need electrical work done, and that's going to be a little bit pricey, and it's a little bit out of our budget. And I respectfully ask for an increase.
So the conundrum here is that
Yes,
Brookside and Ballston Museum both be 1,200 at least
well, we
this
don't
year.
get anything from the county. And so we're the poor relatives. We get nothing. We,
In 2023, fiscal year 2023, both at 1,200.
Mhm.
They're asking for 2,500, so they're looking for double, and then some. They're looking for double and a half, basically. And so we also have to treat, I think, the museums in somewhat of an equal fashion, at least for equity's sake. But I don't know what that means. So I'm just
We also
explaining to
started-
everybody where we are on this.
we also started to charge admission, which has been received very well.
How much is it?
Oh,
It's $5. $4 if you're a senior. I mean, but.
I owe you $5 then. You didn't charge me.
Well, that was before you were under the wire.
I've just got under the
So
gun.
how long has that been going?
Since January.
And how much do you raise in
We're
typical?
figuring that out right now, but there are very few people who turn around and leave. They all are, oh yeah, you need it.
They look at the building and say, oh, yeah.
Nah, Ellie hits the button, and locks the door, so.
If you have a student or child discount?
Yes, children are free, you know, but you have to prove your age, Ben. You can't sneak in at 12.
Yeah,
So we're doing an awful lot, you know, applying for grants, charging admission. We have our major fundraiser in June, the bottle show up at the fairgrounds. I think we're a very strong asset to this village. And what I have noticed now is younger people are coming in. They're putting us on Facebook. We have a strong social Facebook page now. We're going forward. We're not going back.
Of course, you don't charge if they need a restroom.
Oh, no, that's part of, that's a discount.
Right.
Yeah.
I
No,
think,
because that's the visitor center.
Yeah, I think the
People
fact-
come in and we're very
yeah, the
gracious.
fact that you are the
Right.
visitor center
Yeah. And,
does sort of mean we should take care of you.
Yeah,
well, we
that's
need
the-
to make it more visible. And that's what
Right.
we're talking about,
so,
putting some sort of a sign on front.
so your request included $425 for
Well,
something.
that was an afterthought. I said that should be included because it's an important part
Right.
of what the village and the museums.
No, I agree.
Cooperation
It
is-
would be, everybody talks about better signage in this village, so
Yeah.
you're right. But it's not, I don't see it on the sheet. Do
Oh,
we need to
yeah.
add it
Actually, I remember we talked.
We talked,
Yeah.
I said, just include it in the
in the 3,000?
3,000. We
Oh,
have,
even better.
yeah, see, discount.
So,
Sorry.
if we had to cut, you know, what do you think you could give up if we found we had to reduce?
Well, the
Everybody-
electrical has to be taken care of.
You know how much it's gonna be? Have you-
Well, we've already spent grudgingly 1,400 and we have 1,000 more to do. We have the estimate. I mean, they're going to be starting.
So you
um,
could give up 500 if it had to, if everybody had to shrink.
Yeah, we'd leave the visitor sign out. No, I think that's important. I think that's already in the works.
So you may not need the 2,500 if you
We
had
need
1,000 left.
3,500. No, I'm kidding. What are you asking?
If this-
Sounds like you're fixing electrical this year. Is there gonna be more to do next year, like starting in June? This is for June. For next, 2024. So you're doing electrical
We're
now.
doing some electrical now, but we still have the third floor
Okay.
electrical
All right,
that
so
we
there's
do
other
not
stuff.
have an estimate for yet, but we have to get rid of the extension cords.
All right. So there's more beyond the 1,000.
Yeah. It's,
All right. Well, I agree with what Liz said, because you do serve as a welcome center, that does, to me, say you're providing a service that we should support in addition to your museum.
Otherwise, we'd have to have something within the village building.
it's quirky. People come from out of town
To use your bathroom?
to use the bathroom.
Well, just the fact that we have,
But also our
Bathroom to
new
use.
director has already been versed in what's available here in the village. So she redirects people all the time.
That's good.
It's an important asset
Thank
to
you.
have somebody on site, consistent, knowing the village and knowing the restaurants, knowing the particular store they're looking for.
good.
And the other museum, sending them
Right,
down
right.
the street.
Yeah.
I mean, we're a small village. We have 2 museums.
Mm.
That's pretty impressive.
Yes, and I was sitting in a Skidmore College admissions program, and they were talking about the city of Saratoga, what a nice place it is, and they added, and there's a National Bottle Museum. They didn't say it
Yeah,
was
we're
in Boston
starting,
Spa,
yeah,
but they did.
we're also
mention you
buying
guys.
merchandise and people are loving it. So you're going to have seeing people with hats and stuff.
So Brookside and Ballston Museum, not to cut you short on this,
No.
but we've got Caitlin to show, so want to make sure she can get back home to her family soon, come around watching. So I can tell you is she there yet? But what are you thinking for the 2 museums? We'll talk about Historic District Commission rather second. Go ahead.
Me?
No, give me
I'm
ideas.
Well, my question is related to that. What is that for, the Historic Commission?
That was John
request?
Cromie's request, if I
Yeah.
remember
Yeah.
correctly.
Because
Yeah,
that
it's
to
another
me
different
informs my rest of my thoughts.
Yeah,
It was for materials.
well, I think.
That's the Brookside Museum.
It was for a handout with a bunch of historic districts.
I think the feeling was that people in the historic district don't necessarily know, and when they want to do changes and stuff like that, they don't know what the rules are. I think it's more educational, and also with the, the comprehensive plan and a lot of focus on the history of the place. I mean, we used to have a historian, right?
Well, we rely on the museums now.
Yeah, now we rely on the museum.
Because I'm inclined to almost say shift some, like, I don't know.
Well,
I feel like if you own a property, we have a lot of our rules. Your responsibility as a property owner is to call the village. And well, yes, there might be a more affordable way. I don't know if you already spec'd out
Here, I'll read it. to you.
cost. That would be
The
helpful.
biggest ticket item for $2,376 is 500 copies of guidelines to be distributed to village residents, especially those in the historic district. We estimate each set will include 25 pages at 19 cents a page.
That's a PDF waiting to happen online, honestly.
Well, that's what
Maybe have
Department
it
of Health just has.
as
everything on.
requested. Maybe we could.
Well, we got to keep some paper copies in house for people that need them, but I mean,
Right.
that just
Yeah,
seems.
that's true. That could be
Yeah,
done.
that. I was saying the same thing. It's like.
How much is that of the total? 23, so.
And then even the next line is 900, which is computer-based. Says because the guidelines and accompanying illustrations should be on the web and be interactive, we expect to incur 12 hours of web design, 75 an hour or $900. We still want to put it on the web, and the advantage is it'll be interactive, which is nice. So if we need to cut, I'm comfortable saying let's just make this online. You could do a one-pager or postcard directing people to the.
That might be
website.
a better way and say, yes,
Yeah, it
because
makes sense.
So how much are you saying in total?
Minus the 2376,
then we can at least try to support
which is
$2,600?
no, 24.99.
Bottom Museum and.
No, that's one.
Well, do we want to
Brookside,
increase the
secure.
computer part if it's all
What?
computer? I don't know.
Why does
don't
he
get
think he
that.
needs to
Doesn't
do
take much.
web
Well, that's
development if it's going to be on the village's website?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure I actually don't know what he means by web design, other than there's some interactive piece as
But
part
all of our
it.
boards are on our site. We
Yeah, I
don't
guess I'm
usually let
confused a
them
little
stray
bit.
off. Right, Hardtree doesn't have a separate website, does it?
No, just basically.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's fine, that's free, it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of cost, but.
So that's 900, but I don't know what you're saying.
Well, let's work from the other direction. What do you think he absolutely needs from this?
I don't know if anything's essential, but,
Okay.
but so the other thing he has here is historic housing resource manual for each member, $250. I assume that's for each member of the commission. So that actually could be, it's like a training piece. So I could see how that might be helpful. He said each member, so I'm assuming it's not all the houses in the district, but the members of the
Right.
commission.
Unusually, I'm going to do this because nobody's here to defend themselves. Keith is raising his hand, so
Oh,
out of
okay.
respect, I
Yeah.
will
Yeah, I'd like to know
be
more.
allowed to talk. And Keith, if you want to mute, I'm going to mute on my end, Keith, because I've taken the echo cancellation off, so I'm not sure how it affects, so just wait for us to respond, okay?
Sure. It's Keith Lewis, 3080 East High Street. I'm part of the commission, and I was part of the conversation meeting when all of this took place. There's no separate website that needed to be developed, but what came through in the comprehensive plan was the fact that everyone within the village seemed to be continuously talking about the historic charm, and the historic commission has not really done any kind of outreach into the village to foster a concerted effort, a through line. So it wasn't a matter of creating a separate website, but it was a matter of being able to take a lot of the information that the commission has and doesn't utilize in design, and a lot of the information that we think the village residents would benefit from when they are redoing properties in trying to just retain the historic charm. So that's what the website development was really about, being able to work with someone. And if the village has somebody on call, I think that that's great. But we were told to put something together on what we thought we might need. And that was there. The printing, John Cromie seemed to think that because of the age of many of our residents, that we would run into a problem of expecting them to download everything. All of us may be very comfortable with that, but others may not, which was part of the reason why he was thinking of printing. And certainly I agree with reducing it. I thought that was somewhat high, but that was the reason on the printing. And it's really about education, because the historic district is being able to, we're involved in basically one street. But the comprehensive plan starts out talking about the charm and the historic value of Ballston Spa. And if we're going to really solidify that, then the Historic District Commission needs to begin to do more outreach into the community to try and foster that investment by the community in the things that the community seems to want most of.
Keith, let me just walk back on a couple of things here that were in this request from Ben was saying here, because I can't find my email from this back one. It's okay. You mentioned how many books at $250 a piece?
500 copies of.
No.
The bottom request total said for each member 250. I think it's 250 total. So I don't know how many books.
Okay. I was going to say those are like those big binder books. That's 250. Then probably I would say maximum 2 of those. For a committee, but if it's 250 total, it's a different story.
Yeah. Right, Keith? That's a housing.
I think the books were $50 a copy, and they are the book that each of us is using, but currently we just share it. No one on the commission. We have 1 copy and 5 members. And this is a design book that helps us when we are working with residents and trying to create consistency.
So $50 a copy. I just wanted to make sure it wasn't $250 per copy. That was what wasn't clear. So that's helpful. Barbara's actually printing out the full request for all of us. But what else do you have here? The 25 pages PDF thing. I really think that we just need to have copies on hand and maybe a postcard out.
Maybe
to
100 copies.
I would say maybe keep 20 on hand. We'll print out as needed and send postcards to folks saying they're available at the most.
Okay. So $500 for postcards or whatever and all that.
Well, how many people did he want to send them originally to? 500
Just the
in the
historic
historic
district, right?
So that's 250.
Well, it's not, see, this is the thing, is that the discussion within the Historic District Commission was the fact that the entire village is what people want to preserve and protect. And we are the resource. And the guidelines that we set are, they're not enforceable, but they are collaborative and helpful, and the residents appreciate it. So this was a matter, we've been putting together a succinct recommendations, and this was a matter of putting that together for everyone in the village, anyone who is trying to protect or to redo a historic property, which is pretty much everything in the village. Everything is historic.
Ben says he applauds your goal and agrees, but go ahead.
No, well, and I agree with the idea of increasing awareness of what does it mean to maintain and preserve and historic district. What does it take? Because it is so important. People keep talking about it. So I like the idea of increasing awareness. I'm wondering if we can accomplish that, like 90% or 80% of that goal of the 500 copies by doing a postcard outreach, having copies available on demand. So anyone who, tell people they're at the village hall. If you want a copy to take with you, we'll make them for you. And also it'll be online so people can see them online. So there you have people who aren't online will know that they can get it from the village, and maybe we'll have good distribution that way while saving some funds.
We've got a question in the crowd too, but go ahead.
My other thought though is maybe test this out with just sticking with the historic commission, the district to start, like pilot it this year and then, see how it went and then consider if that's
the whole thing.
No. Just like
send a postcard.
Start with the historic district just to start that pattern, and then they can come back next year and request. This is another area we're thinking is important to have these guidelines, and just because to maybe space it out a little bit.
Well, they can also use Facebook too.
If we're just talking about postcards, though.
Let me go to the crowd for public comment at this point for this question of Historic District Commission and Gina Morosi.
Gina Morosi, 10 Old Glory Lane. Why can't you just include the fact that these are available in the trustee newsletter and save extra postage?
Do that.
Yeah.
What bills also?
Something along those lines, where we utilize to send out that.
Well, water bills will be to owners, which are the ones who are going to be redoing buildings. So
I think it's a good idea to reinforce it in those sources. I guess I was assuming if the postcard would be like its own designed thing that would be like attractive to read and, just generate more.
It's to get information out, though. It's not really,
I think
needed to be designed.
the reason why I'm asking these questions is to me, there sounds like there's a need. Electrical is important, and I would rather, if we had to make kind of cuts here or there, I would rather prioritize protecting some funds for the Bottle Museum. So that's why I'm asking these questions of where can we be a little bit more frugal with this effort to get historic commission info out.
Keith, there's something about refreshments and speaker honorarium for 12 programs for 1,200. I mean, have you ever had speakers to the HTC before?
No, see, that's exactly what we want to expand into. And that's why the copies were down. I like the idea of being a little bit more green. And when John was working on this, John was instructed to, I believe, write it out according to what the costs would be, whether those costs would be buried in village expense, the village doing the copies, or us doing the copies. So, and I think starting out with a small number is fine. But what occurred we were given the comprehensive plan, we were asked to read it through and we were asked to give our comments, which we did. But what occurred during that reading and during our first meeting was the fact that throughout the village, the theme kept coming back of historic charm. And we're not doing any outreach. We just meet with people in this district when they have an application. And in order to fulfill the comprehensive plan, it was decided that the Historic Commission is going to have to be more of a guiding force and a resource to our residents in order for them to realize the goal that they said that they wanted. So we wanted to do a once a month open discussion on design with different speakers that we would bring in that would allow us to open that up to the entire community. We don't want to be limited within the historic district. The historic district can't bear the burden of being the historic, bear the burden of being the only part of the historic village when everybody is talking about the history of the village and the charm. So that was what that is.
I think, for the amount of money, I mean, if they do once a month, that's, a valuable resource to, particularly with all the new people we have moving into the village and buying these old homes and wanting, there's been a lot of renovation work. So.
Yeah, but our planning board and our zoning board don't have that opportunity for the same thing. They may want the same type of honorarium for speakers that we had to educate, and we have never extended that. I'm okay with a couple one-offs by all means to see how they go.
Yeah.
But 12 is a lot. I'm not gonna lie.
I think there's a lot of interesting ideas that maybe we can test out with smaller scale.
Maybe 6 programs.
Yeah, do 6 programs and
I'm okay with spending a few $100 on 500 postcards because it is a need. I like the idea of supporting their interest and the goal of really increasing awareness of these issues and that they exist.
To me, I would go 750, 300 on postcards, postage on hand copies of the top piece.
Yeah.
I don't see the need for the website based on the fact we have one and can use those resources. 2 honoraria to get them off the ground on that to see how they work and get some feedback for next year.
And just 2, you're saying?
Yeah, and then I think the resource manual makes sense. I think that's
they should have that. Well, being on plan or ZBA without a book, I'd print my own code.
Well, I'd say let's do quarterly programs because it might take 2 for them just to figure out how to publicize them and get them going.
Yeah, I think quarterly. And then they have the Zoom Pro account.
Maybe can Keith tell us what this 12 hours of web design was intended to do?
We have 500 plus pages of documentation resources for use when somebody is redoing properties, from molding designs on the exterior. Most of the stuff that we have is on the exterior, but it's a whole treasure trove of different design work that we want to make available, as well as design that John, I guess, has been collecting on the properties within the village, because we want to be able to catalog it. We want to be able to make it accessible, and we want the residents to foster what they've said they want. So it was just a matter of, right now we're basically a policing group, and that it came out that we need to be more of an asset, and we need to just be available to the residents. And we need to make sure that they know they've got this resource so that we foster what the community wants. That's the thought. And I think that everything is scalable. And certainly John brought it to you with the idea that you'd look at it and then decide how best to scale it. But we were told to put together a wish list if we were just writing a check.
Given.
Okay.
Well, my question was there an intention to create your own website?
No, absolutely not. And the only thing was that we were not aware that you had a designer that would be able to upload and create graphics and create the database collection so that it can foster through. We weren't aware that you had somebody that would be able to interface with that, but as long as you've got that person, we need something that's interactive and easy for the residents.
Not to cut you off, Keith, but I think what we've landed on generally here, if I may, is about $950, give or take, because I don't think the website cost is there or needed because of what we have here. So
Well, I thought you were saying seven, how much is it for the copies?
I said 300 for postcards, postage, on-hand copies. You wanted quarterly, so that's 400 honoraria and 250 for the manuals.
And what about the pro account?
I don't see how they,
Would they be able to use our regular village?
either that or they could use basic Zoom accounts to still record and then take them down, take the recordings down if there's no need to go pro. How many people are going to watch it? Usually you go pro to have more viewer ability, unless they're having a huge meeting of some sort, which I don't see too frequently happening. I don't see why they would need the pro account.
So how much is
You
that?
said seven.
950 would be,
1,000. Given.
well, 950 because we're trying to be specific, but
Okay.
okay, Keith, thanks for your time on that. Any last thoughts?
Nope, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, that was helpful.
Okay. All right, what else we have? We got Brookside.
Brookside Bottle. Let's be a little quicker on this because now we have 3 lineup of speakers waiting to go. So what do you want to do with these?
Well, the Bottle Museum, we decided, I think, to keep where it is unless we.
Well, Bernadette, want to give input based on what HDC?
I would like to prioritize getting their electrical fixed. That always makes me nervous. So I'd like to help you guys with that.
I'm okay with these numbers.
Yeah. And the Brookside Museum?
Well, I kind of want to remain equitable between 2 museums still. That's the problem.
If we're able
They are
to
rough.
do same, if
Well,
we're able to.
They have been, doing a lot and have been pretty good at fundraising and everything. So, they're doing.
Donna, you and Ellie would have an arm wrestling match or something right now to see who deserves more.
The extra 500 is really for us. It's the sign. The sign is really serving the village.
That's a good point.
Yeah,
So
so I keep
so
that.
that's I think
Could-
okay.
So where do you want to hang on?
I think it's fine because Ben has a point. It's 500 for the sign and that serves the village specifically.
Let's do this. Caitlin came in, and like I said, we kind of promised her to go. So if you want to come over here for Park and Tree, we will continue culture in a moment. We'll continue culture in a moment. That's a great way of saying it.
Thank you. It was freezing yesterday.
Okay.
I was thinking we should go to the
So VACC probably quicker.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, let's roll because she has children too. Never asked you that when we did our tour.
Thank you.
All the good moms here.
Yeah.
Happy International Women's Day to all.
Thank
Oh,
you.
yeah.
They were handing out carnations at Hannaford.
Oh, really?
It was just a surprise.
Okay, let's walk through Brush and Weeds, the worst title to a category in the history of titles of categories. You want to raise up to 25,000, and a lot of this has to do with stump removal more than anything else, if I remember correctly.
Well, including stump removal in the overall removal of trees, as well as working with the information we have from the study that was done about 2 years ago. The good news is at least one of our necessary trees to remove was removed in the last 2 years. So that was exciting. But yeah, so we want to prioritize removing trees that are necessary to remove, as well as removing the stumps when we remove the trees so that we just don't have tree stumps everywhere, as well as removing some random stumps throughout the village would be nice. And also potentially providing some new trees to plant in their place.
And we also have, if we decide to cover, trees that are buckling sidewalks, we've got to take care of the tree along with repairing the sidewalk. So that there'd be something, and some of the trees would be in those places if we
Your
had to
intention is to
replace
take
it.
care of Milton Avenue trees, you're gonna be adding a 0 to this number, I hate to tell you.
No, but
Well, yeah, so half of this would ideally go to matching a grant. That would be for $50,000, which would be great. And it's, I believe, the same people we had the previous grant with who seemed to like us and enjoy our tree study and shared it with other, asked permission to share it with other municipalities as an example of good stuff.
Yeah.
So ideally, it would be a lot more money than that, but if not, then that would go, if we did not get the grant, it would go back into tree removal. For our priority trees, we have about 2 that are high priority, and then about 5 that are kind of medium. And all of those trees, removal of the trees and stumps would be about $8,000, I believe. Although I kind of rounded for the tree stumps because I'm not an expert. But I talked to Jeff a lot about this, and he also gave me the exact prices of what we're contracted for tree removal without stumps.
You have this in front of you? Because we've been just going through it.
I don't have that in front of me,
Okay.
but
Yeah.
it's fine.
Yeah.
I also have a list of the trees and their prices if anyone's interested.
Right. And hopefully, the grant is due in a couple months. I think they're about to come out with the request, and we can get another 50,000.
Yeah, and that would
Which
be
is-
fantastic. And it was like one of the high priority trees to remove is literally like right across the street. So it'd be nice
Is
to,
that the ones I was getting a question on today about county bid versus individual matching county bid and all that stuff? Jennifer reached out to me when I was out earlier, and we went to Carla on how procurement works.
or no,
So
that's not,
it's a marked tree for taking down,
Yeah.
she said, so it must be that one then.
probably that one.
Okay.
And it's funny, yeah. You have to look at the corner. The tree map is very helpful. The address of Bath Street, but it's actually right there.
But if that's gonna happen, that'll be this year, just be aware,
Yeah,
so it'll
yeah,
be out of this year's budget.
Yeah, but there's enough trees for how many years
A
to
lot of-
take care of all the ones that we have?
I mean, I think slated for removal is, I think it was like at least 40.
Last year, second.
And we've broken it down to like 14 of priority.
I mean, I like the initiative. Obviously, there's flexibility here. If we don't have money, we go to 20,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see, Wiswall Iron Spring get collected together for better or for worse in our budgeting. And so mowing at 8,500 is assuming a straight line, I believe, on mowing. Although I think we were actually high in mowing last year, now that I'm thinking about this, so.
It does look like it went over last year, I think, from the numbers that I saw.
So we should be okay. Utilities, it looks like we do need to bump a little bit because looks like we miss a little bit here. So bumping them up a little bit additional on top of that makes sense. Repair, Garden Club, Friends of Wiswall, see below. Friends of Wiswall, $2,200 Wiswall, mulch plants, delivery, $1,000, picnic tables per resident survey, $1,200. Garden Club, $1,000, Iron Spring shrubs, perennials, annuals, composting. So that would collectively become 3,200 up from a budget line of 3,000.
And consider that you get that all with free labor. So that's
Yeah, I think-
just the materials.
Yeah.
And the garden clubs, they do the work. And so,
I think it's a good investment in the center of our town.
they've done a beautiful job on
Oh.
Iron Spring.
That's not a lot.
And-
ton of money.
The only question that's come up is about clubs receiving if they're not organized as 501c3s. Did the Garden Club ever go to the 501c3?
They're nonprofit.
They are,
aren't they?
yeah, they're
Yeah.
under an umbrella, like a national.
Yeah, it's like a
umbrella.
national.
Yeah, they're under a National
Okay.
Garden Club.
Yeah, they're definitely around.
And
Yeah.
Friends of Wiswall just applied to.
It's official
They
now.
do have
Yes.
something.
Yeah. So everybody's got their paperwork. The only
Right.
thing on Iron Spring and Wiswall that I'm concerned about is it in this year or next year is the stairs up to the Tedesco Trail.
Mhm.
They are falling apart. So I don't know where those dollars are. If they're in DPW or.
We didn't
Yeah,
talk
we
about
talked
it.
to Jeff about it a little bit, which was basically that we both acknowledge that it's something that needs to be done. And he, said, off the top of my head, I'm not sure what that would be in materials versus what it would be to hire someone. And so far, that's as far as we unfortunately got on that subject.
So I just
Um,
wanted to
and
make
then-
sure.
Can we get it before it's due? Maybe?
Well, you can get it
That's
after tentative budget too, and then you'd have to take away from somebody else to do it at that point, or some other line if we have to wait till it past the 17th. So maybe it's worth trying to get that discussion finished in the early part of next week if we can. Rule signs probably will be most dependent on if we can get our park rules, park code passed on this. And so it would be good to have a not onerous, but at least somewhat respectful rule set at each park, just to give our police the ability to enforce without much problem or hassle.
$300 a sign.
Yes,
How big?
this is not unusual if you want a nice looking sign.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's normal. So when it comes to like improving Wiswall, I don't know that Friends of Wiswall, for example, actually needs to receive the funds necessarily versus we, for
C3, we're going to need a contract with Friends of Wiswall ultimately, and we need a contract with the Garden Club. I believe we have an existing set that we always do with Garden Club, if I remember correctly, but I do not believe we've ever done anything with Friends of Wiswall because they're new and they were a 501c3 before.
I know that I believe the Garden Club got village funding last year, at least. That's as far back as my
They
knowledge.
spent village money.
They
Yeah,
spent village, all right.
Yeah.
Spent village.
that's what they.
Who died made me Carl it tonight? I really don't want that.
But,
somebody else play lawyer.
But I don't think there is a contract. Like, I feel like I've been sent contracts for nonprofits, and that's never, like, over a couple of years, and that's never been something I've seen.
Yeah, I'm not
Right.
sure.
I don't-
Well, I think
you would have it
it's
already.
Carla saying you should have a contract if you have an outside body doing something.
That's
in the
what they
village.
made, or we made ask do along the lines and everything else. Mark remembers that well. So I think it's just that was the lesson we got from all that, and a certain level of making sure insurance is provided for work by the 501c3, unless we're going to absorb it, and that's a decision we have to make each time. Stuff like that. That's what we went through for asking. That would be consistent with any 501c3 from here on out.
Yeah, it's always good to have it in writing anyways, what they're.
So should that be marked out that this is, instead of one line in here, be marked out that request from,
It should become apparent that it's their contractual and probably subcategorized like we did with
the ask and stuff?
or with the museums and the
Mhm.
HDC, just to be clear on what's going on there.
They're at the bottom too.
Yep.
Put little notes at the bottom.
Yeah, I saw that, but even just in the
in the grid.
actual grid.
Yeah, I mean,
Just like
I'd want to talk to Carla more about this. It could be perfectly fine to have a group of volunteers, with our approval, do work in any of these parks. And again, the village provides the soil. And there's not, it may not be officially the Friends of Wiswall. This could be a group of people
Well, we do
who.
plenty of
Well,
volunteers. in this village.
let's go to our legal expert
All right,
on
we'll
all
go to-
this
right, we'll go to
eventually. Yeah.
Yeah.
Monday we'll start the meeting with, okay, Carly, you weren't in the workshops. Now you get to really work. Ray, I probably would have speak to Kelly and Victory a little bit more, only because he seems to, from what he told me, shepherd this better or more
Did
or
you want to
whatever.
say anything about the Chisco Trail as well?
Go ahead.
Sort of in a combination of that project with the ADA project that's upcoming. There's been requests, and not only from me, to, rather than just replacing the stairs, we're doing a patch job on the stairs to create some sort of a ramp system so that it is accessible up to this end and down from this end, because it already is accessible on the other end. So if somebody comes down in a wheelchair or scooter or on crutches or something like that, they don't have to navigate stairs at this end.
Okay.
Don't know what the costs are, don't know, what the requirements are legally and all that, but.
Let's try to work on those and as fast as we can.
Before we all of a sudden go through and throw up a set of stairs.
Yeah, I get it. If we can get some estimate on what we need to do sooner rather than later, it'll help
And
us out.
tie it in with the ADA project that's going on. I think
Right.
would be a good way to do it.
Although there's potentially the hope of getting it from the name that's at the bottom of the stairs.
Yeah, Jim Tedesco's office is working with them now to see what grants are available. They don't have, what do they call the slush fund?
Member items.
Member, they
There's-
don't have that anymore.
Yeah.
So he can't just give us the money unless he does it out of his pocket. Which that would work too.
I think it's called pork in most cases. Not
Yeah,
most ones. So Kelly Park PS is the cleaning of the bathrooms, if I remember correctly. Kelly Park equipment is $0. Playgrounds, Kelly and Victory Park is at $0 on this. And Kelly Park building improvements goes 2,500 to 2,500 benches in Victory Park. Nothing from this category this year, in this current year, has been spent. There was $2,500 budgeted.
Correct. With the money that's there, we would like to take 20, whatever the cost is now, to get 2 or 3 benches into Victory Circle, since we're sort of clumping it together, which would be fine.
Can they be done in this budget year
They can
current?
be done, they can be purchased tomorrow.
So if we wanted to, we could eliminate that 2,500 for next year and just use this year's. Is that something you'd be okay with?
We want more benches.
Yeah,
Well-
we would want more benches than 2 or 3.
How many are you looking for total?
Probably half a dozen by the time we're done.
Okay.
Okay, so the benches would be included in that. Plus, we're gonna want another 1 or 2 down at Kelly Park. So again,
What's the-
5 to 6 benches total.
What's the pricing on a bench usually?
Benches are, let's say 700 with ship.
Okay.
All right, that's why I say if we can get 3 of them this year, that's like 2,100, so it's pretty close to what was allocated.
Those are the ones that don't.
Yeah, these you don't have to tear apart and replace the wood and all that other stuff on it. They're gonna be there permanently, the same ones that we got all over the village from Robert.
Now, to add to that conversation, Caitlin, correct me if I'm wrong, but there was some talk of the Park and Tree Committee wanting to use some of that 2,500 in Wiswall so that it happened because the timing's so tight.
Yeah,
That you
so,
would get supplies.
yeah, so Ray and I talked about that. I believe it would be $700 for starting some mulch and some flowers for Wiswall to just get it started. Because there's concern about, by the time farmers market starts and village wide garage sale and all that the new budget year will not have
Right.
jump started enough for those materials to be ordered and delivered for that to be done. And there's concern about, again, all the things that happened early in the spring in the park, like the farmers market, other events. I know a lot of the local businesses are planning to do random vendor events there as well.
So you
So
only
just
need-
trying to at least start to make it look pretty,
Not have to wait till June.
not have to wait till June 1st
And you only need 750?
or 700.
Oh, okay.
At least to
That
get
was
started.
1,000. All right.
That's enough to like cover everything with mulch and get a couple flowers in there.
And would that come out of the 2,500 or?
We were hoping no.
Okay.
So
Well, this
We
is-
talked
you're in-
about whatever the balance was from the, buying benches and getting them installed, which again, the village crews could do that. It's really simple. But whatever was left over, get $300, $400, $500 would go towards those wall to help with those flowers.
Well,
That
here's,
would be for this year's money.
Yeah, that was
Here's
this
one.
Okay, so the 2,500 that you get this year,
Will be used.
you're gonna use it.
Well,
So for
they
next
need,
year,
they need more than $300, $400.
yes,
No.
I mean, for the mulch alone and then some flowers, 700 feet. would be-
because we categorize lines by Wiswall and Iron Spring, and then Kelly / it looks like Victory at this point, we're doing together now. You're going back up into the Wiswall portion here, so what would you be doing is my question to you.
This is for this, so we're talking about this year.
Yeah, that's all
It
just
impacts
this year.
next year.
It's just to
But
get
nobody-
enough mulch down and a couple flowers.
Nobody's
and-
gonna beat you up if you go over in a budget line to get mulch at this point for this year, so we'll face that when we get to it. Yeah,
Want to get the mulch and the flowers.
okay,
All right,
let's
But
move on.
we're talking about the
$700.
coming year.
So
No,
couple-
Now we're talking about
no,
now.
now.
Yeah, we're talking about-
Now, so they have it, so they can do it in the spring.
Right, but we're,
And
Yeah.
this
In
2,500,
fiscal year 2023, they're buying mulch
I know.
for calendar year 2023.
I'm just trying to get back to fiscal year 24,
Okay, sorry.
which we're here for.
Let's get back.
Currently, no mulch.
Okay,
Okay,
So for Kelly Park, for 24,
yes.
okay.
Mowing at 8,500 is the consistency again there between the two. The Kelly Park utilities, are only at 374. That seems like we may be miscoding there because it's got to be higher than 374. 1750. Well, we did turn off the power.
Yeah.
That could,
Wait a minute. I did.
maybe you only need 1,500 in that line.
That's interesting. But we do have floodlights and stuff, so I'm not sure how that is involved.
Yeah.
Unless some of the pool stuff is getting attributed wrong too. Huh.
No, the pool wouldn't be in here.
I didn't know.
Unless-
I didn't know I created a cash cow scenario on that one by
Let
accident.
me see what the pool utilities, no, adopted,
Well, Kelly-
year to date. Oh,
In the meantime,
It went a
I
little
put a dash next to
1,500
it. I put a dash next to it for now because that's
Yeah.
gonna be one I'll look at.
And the pool did go over its budget by about $600, so maybe it got allocated in the wrong place.
Kelly Park repairs and maintenance. This year was 4325. You're requesting 1200 this year. Any idea why you're dropping off and all that? Oh, below. Hold on. Below.
No,
There's nothing below. Wait a
Oh,
minute.
hold for,
I'm like, I don't know if it did.
it's the three, no, I did. It's, the 1,200 is the 300 for the roll sign and the
Oh, I
900 for
see.
Kelly Park.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, because I was breaking it up.
Oh,
But, and we thought there might be paving, so I held the spot for
Got
it.
it, got
but-
it.
The paving question is there may be costs for fencing still if we can get the paving. I reached out to Mary Ann LaRoche yesterday from Pampa's, and she was actually just sorting out Agnes's storage in the basement. So it felt horrible even asking this, but I was like, listen, we'd love to dedicate this asphalt area in the memory of Agnes because of everything she's meant to this community, and she's willing to work with us. Jeff is in contact with her, or will be, to discuss. She asked if we need it rubberized or not asphalt.
I don't feel we need to rubberized because that's quite a bit more expensive.
I agree with you there.
But the milling and topping with, I'm not a paving guy, but the milling and topping that they would do on the street, it's the same thing there.
Yep.
And I've checked with two other sources. The fencing that's there would not be in the way. Years upon years upon years at the high school, they would repave the tennis courts when needed and never have to remove the fencing. So there is need of repair for the fencing that's there. There are two big gates that, they could get any equipment you need in there to do that. So the paving portion of that, I think, is
What about striping?
striping. The village could do that when they're doing the street striping.
Okay.
It's the same thing. It would work. They just have to have the design laid out, and we could do that. With
Hoops, pickleball, nets, etc.
the hoops will be about $5,000 delivered. For the best quality, we can get a lower quality from anywhere up from $3,000 up.
Does VACC still have an extra hoop by any
That's what they
chance?
said, yeah.
Actually, you don't. I looked.
No? Okay, just want to check because I heard this rumor.
Somebody stole it.
Again, a lot of patchwork. That was my thought also.
So 5,000 plus. What do you think?
$5,000 would be at the top of it. And if we had money left over, if we went with a little bit lower quality pool, we could probably include pickleball net and, again, striping for that court also.
Okay. So I'm putting $6,000 just for comprehensiveness, 5,000, 1,000
Right.
split.
The other thing in that park is the lighting and security.
Yep.
I don't know if you have lines in there. for
We
that.
have I just swear I saw something
We
about
have it,
that. Am I going, a floodlight and surveillance camera, but it went to Memorial Park sign in that line.
No, that's what the line was last year, and this is what it is this year.
Gotcha.
So there wasn't, they didn't buy those
Oh, so we
yet.
can cross it out.
So
No, those
floodlight
were
and surveillance
purchased.
camera, there's
Those-
$2,000 supposedly or possibly in there right now. Well, but 3516 got spent, so I'm
Yeah, I
not sure
think
what
they were
that is.
purchased. They were purchased. We looked at
Oh,
our meeting, right?
okay.
Yeah, I think
were-
you said they were.
Yeah.
So what number?
So there are
Oh, yeah, the
floodlights.
cameras are waiting to go up. I do know
Okay.
that, actually.
There are
Sorry,
three
that's my bad.
poles- There are 3 poles in existence there. That would probably suffice for those areas for now. Eventually, we're gonna have to add more because there's really no lighting on the older kid park, which is where drug use and things like that happen. And we would want that taken care of also, but right now there's 3 poles that you can mount lights on, cameras, and they're existing. There's nothing on. I think at some
So
point
what's
maybe-
our total for the Kelly Park repair and maintenance?
Well, you wouldn't call hoops and pickleball stuff repair and maintenance. It would go into probably
Supplies or
equipment. At
Equipment.
the worst, yeah,
6,000.
supplies and the
So
other.
what's the number?
That'd be 6,000 for that as at the worst. And so, we'll reevaluate that because you said that's the top line.
So there's no line where paving is.
Yeah, there's no paving? I didn't hear a number.
No
for
paving.
Currently, no.
nothing.
We'll see
Okay.
what
All
Papa
right.
comes back with and then we'll
Okay.
have to go from there.
We added 6,000 on the equipment line.
Yes.
And
Okay,
then the last project there, right now, I don't think it would be wise to move the dog park.
Mhm.
That is quite an involved project. From what I was told, they're actually, they did it right when they built it there. They put posts and cement and all that, so that would complicate things. But there could be a stone dust or a crushed stone walkway put out around the edge to the park so that people would actually see it, plus some signage would be necessary. I don't know if that's, again, another line for signage.
yeah.
So
It's a
Ray,
long walk, though.
I do want
It's a
to,
long walk, it is, but
It's a very long walk.
for now.
Do you have any interest in a smaller dog park closer? Would that be of any use?
It could be a little bit smaller, but, again.
I mean, they could choose a small one closer or right over there.
so I want to go back for a second. We're going to do something on the asphalt is the assumption here. Can we go out to the community and basically ask the question in some format? Would you like to see this activity as
I would love
basically?
that. I would love that.
We want to work on that over the next week so that we can get at least some consensus on it before we go and start marking things and then people are buying things too. And people are like, no, we didn't think that was a good idea. And Colleen, maybe you can get some buy-in at the ACC because I know you're always looking for us to have not counter programming, but
Maybe you and
programming.
I-
Yeah.
There is an email list the village has, there's 200 something emails, addresses, so that we should use that more often. I think.
We could do
Okay, I
a
can
sort
get
of
something
short
together with
survey.
Karen and put something out to the email list.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
put it on Facebook too, so, they can submit that way.
I think our parks are the things that need the most buy-in because people end up using them more than we realize in this community. And to just kind of assume we know what people want is always a mistake, I think. I think we've heard enough about basketball, pickleball, no doubt, but it would be good to be able to say at the end of the day when somebody questions it, well, this was what the consensus said out there and we're happy with that
Well, I
fact.
would put the things that, the Park and Tree Board have come up with, like pickleball and dog park and stuff, and then ask people to rank them, because.
Well,
otherwise
we're
they'll-
talking about the asphalt itself because we're
Oh.
trying to get a donation for the asphalt. So it's the usage of the asphalt that we're looking at. If I put a dog park there, that would be a bad
Oh,
idea.
no, but I mean, you could also, Yeah.
Ask for their input.
Their input.
Let's run the email past the board and we'll give you feedback and our thoughts.
Or you guys could put together what your thoughts are and send them to me and
I would lean on you to start it if you can, and then we'll come back around and Colleen.
Also, Kelly, I've been in touch with friends of the KRS or.
Mhm. Joe AC and company.
Yeah, Joe AC.
Yep.
And Rich Basham.
Yep.
Or Basham. And we're trying to work out with Rotary a cleanup day for the trail down there to see, if we can get that going, at least get the existing trail up to the point where it needs to be.
yeah.
And there'll be a lot more ideas.
They did a beautiful sign too, which is gonna go.
Thanks for working on all that.
Okay, so let's go back to the elephant in the room because we need to. Oh, sorry. Well played there, Mark.
Glad.
It didn't even miss a beat on that.
Okay,
So the question is about this whole plan that we started talking about last night, and it kind of came out of nowhere and everything else, and what we're doing. And Caitlin, as I said, I think there was just miscommunication on our
Yeah,
part.
clearly miscommunication. I apologize. I did.
I apologize the
exactly not what
same.
you asked to do.
It's okay. It happens, and it's good to see that you priced out some stuff that may eventually be needed because we'll know what that is eventually. The question ultimately is, and just like I said about Kelly Park here and the asphalt area, It's to make sure we have sufficient buy-in from a lot of players throughout this community, residents, businesses, et cetera, on Wiswall Park's future design and making sure we have enough detail to provide that people can actually visualize what that looks like. Because the overhead plan I saw, and I do development in my side work, I'm not getting any kind of good visualization of it because we're removing a lot of things that are what I call boundaries in there currently. And so I'm not sure what this thing's going to look like if it's kind of just in the clear to the wall. And that doesn't mean it's bad. It just means that I think if I can't see it, I can only imagine what general residents and businesses are going to see or not see in this whole thing. And this is why when the question about it last week when we were leaving the meeting, I said flat out, when you questioned me, you said you're surprised I want to spend money on it. I was like, this is that type of thing where buy-in is so necessary and making sure you have a community consensus in it matters. This is what matters to me, is making sure that folks are comfortable with a park that they're going to be using more than any one of us ever will. And so that's why I've been saying, take your time. We've got time. We know we've got time. Jeff told us that back last night. And Sean, who Feel Better Sean, agreed that we have time. And the question is now money, respectfully. And I personally, as the guy that's normally, I guess, against study, this sounds like a study, but this is a study with, I think, a lot of importance behind the consensus and actually one that we're going to act on in 2024. That's where my position's been on this from day one. Go ahead.
Well, I think we're on the same page. I think we all want to get the input and make sure that we're doing what the public wants. It's an interesting point, will people look at that diagram and not get it, see it for what it, I don't know. It didn't bother me. I mean, you could put some color in it. I guess that might help. But I think it's a good starting place to. So we've done the survey without the diagram about like what general activities people want.
We also did surveys with the diagram.
Oh, you did the diagram.
Oh, yeah.
That was the previous.
Right.
Yeah, but
it's similar.
Yeah.
But I agree. Let's get buy-in and feedback on this diagram, the latest one.
But you're, and I said this earlier too, you're a member of a planning board and you would want to see the elevations basically before you would approve a site plan, right? And you as well, Bernadette?
Well, what I think is different is you and I, because we do serve on them, it's a little easier for us to concept, okay, this is where this is going. But I think what would be nice, I did have a question. There's one part I'm like, okay, we're removing turf. That's the stuff that's hard to tell. And I would love for people to be excited about this, and it would be helpful with a more concrete visual, something that more regular consumers can, readily.
Then allocate some money to have a 3D drawing.
Well, we were
done.
starting to say that it was to have some work and a
Or-
plan, and somebody
or
work
at
with
least
the parking.
We're not expecting this guy to go pro bono for the rest of his
No,
life.
oh, gosh.
Let's ask him, Caitlin, if he can create something with color and I guess more dimensions or something.
Yeah, like a
I don't know.
3D.
Ground level would be probably the best way to do it from this angle, that angle, and that angle.
And if
maybe.
he wants, I bet he doesn't charge 20,000. It'll be less than that. But
I don't know where
if
this
he-
20,000 number officially came from. I think we were spitballing numbers. So, Ellie's gonna take your 20.
I'm pretty sure you mentioned 20.
No.
Colleen wants it too. I don't know what's going on here.
All right.
I mean, if he has this Pete Benfrey, and I didn't know him until,
How do you get
So you,
connected with?
yeah.
You know him?
yeah.
Yeah, it's all Ray's fault as always.
Husband of a Rotary member. That's-
Oh, okay.
And he designs international water parks and,
Mhm.
he's,
When we're ready for a splash pad, we'll call him and be.
no, but I mean, he's done park
All right.
projects too. So he's a professional and he.
Oh, we
and he
don't doubt that.
No, it's
more
not that. It's not a question of that. It's a question of the surveys that have gone out so far haven't had what I would call a sufficient number of responses to feel comfortable that the community understands what's going on or buys into it.
Well, what,
And in a call last week, I got upset with you today about, and I apologize if I went over the top, but
Thanks for bothering me.
but nonetheless, I'm going to say to you, we were on the same page insofar as you would suggest that, hey, maybe we use this as a starting point. And I said, yes, but this never had the level of buy-in or survey responses that would make you comfortable that this was vetted in a way so that maybe you do this in coordination with further surveying in some form and then
That's
make
fine.
more changes, but also make sure you have the right level of, as you said, 3D or ground level or something to give you a better visualization.
Yeah.
People need to embrace this. This is going to haunt us because of some things that happened a couple of years ago. We're not careful, and we need to be very, very cognizant of that
Yeah,
fact.
I think we're on the same page. I'm not arguing with that. So I guess the request is to ask him if he could create those things, and if he feels like he needs to charge something, to let us know what that'll be. I don't know if you want to put a few thousand in the budget
I
for
would put
that.
10,000 in as
10,000?
safety, and some of it could be considered fund balance, capital planning for that
Or
approach.
maybe it goes towards
I
the
wouldn't
spring.
use, wouldn't use fund balance for design fees. I mean, fund balance should be used for permanent.
Well, this is going to be something we're moving to permanent improvements. This is the whole idea of it. So
It's moving to it, but
how about ARPA?
Could we get an estimate from him before
Why not
in the
ARPA?
next
per part.
week?
I can try to do it next week.
The definition of ARPA funds, I believe, expanded way beyond what you would expect, and that probably would fall into this. We'll take a look.
So,
We'll take a look.
I mean, you can
Yeah.
put 10. I hope that's high for what we're doing here. But Caitlin can ask him and within the next week.
But
Or, and if he doesn't want to do it, I can ask if he recommends anyone.
are you satisfied with an internet type survey through Facebook and stuff? Because, if you're talking mailing people.
Well, I would
out
do
to-
the same thing that we're asking Ray to do for Kelly right now. I would say the same approach. We will learn from the approach with Ray here, because this is a little more simple one that we're asking you to do.
Well, we have experience doing it. So,
I mean, right now we
there's been
have 179 responses, 10 of which were from businesses because it went out to the VSBPA and
That's
10
not a bad
whole-
one.
Yeah, that's not comforting.
Well, they had twice that.
Yeah, but then like 170 residents also.
Yeah, that's
filled
not
in.
a bad
So that's
response
what we
rate.
have to at least start with, and we also have obviously a meeting with a lot of local businesses, especially those on Front Street who are very passionate about.
Yep.
using-
And you and I
their
talked to
use of that
Dana
space.
today, and she's like, I am by all means ready to mobilize
Yeah.
this.
I think, again, people are visual people. And so they might not know what they want until they see, oh, this is how I like this thing.
That's
or-
great. Or fix
Yeah,
this.
and so I think we are all on the same page and we're moving in the right direction, which is
Yeah.
really
This
good.
was all just like, we
Yeah.
got some feedback, we had a new idea, and again, this just came out yesterday. Like,
Okay.
this was new for me as well. I sent it out to Park and Tree Board yesterday.
Yeah.
As well. So we have had no discussion about it at all because our meeting is in 2 weeks. So.
Right, so you can do the email list that the village has. We can do BSBPA, we can do our website, our
Facebook.
Facebook page,
And
and
we
everyone
can
else's
see if we
Facebook
can get
page.
something
Frank's
else,
your
but
Facebook
A
page.
lot of the feedback from the local businesses, as well as farmers market vendors were obviously very important for us to communicate with, make sure they feel like they have enough space for everything that they, want to do. Which was why, there's open space around here and things. But yeah, it's just getting some things, having ideas and talking about it still. And, this isn't the basis of Park and Tree's decision. Like, this is, we gather information from all of our people who are working on different things, but it's not like we were like, let's build this now. Like, that wasn't my intention to come across.
And
like
that, it kind of came across that way last night, and that's what concerned us.
Well, that's, I
Sorry, got
watched
part of
it this
May
morning
late.
and I was like, oh, I should have been there. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Gina, have raised your hand. Let's
Thank
let public comment at this point. Go ahead.
Caitlin, are you on the board of the nonprofit?
Yes.
Okay. And one thing with the plan, please, I've been saying this since day one. You still have on the Mandino wall potential.
Mural.
I didn't write that. And we all know it's not going to happen.
All right, yeah, so
Well, it needs
that's
to be
an idea.
removed
Take
because
it out.
we're not part of the plan.
Yeah. So I will make a note for that.
Yeah, Tina does a lot for this village. Let's make sure we're not going to upset Tina and company over there, because they were pretty clear that that was not a non-starter.
Yeah.
Day one on that. Ray, did you have any input you want to give on this or thoughts before we kind of close this one out?
Work on the,
Any other public comment that I should go to here?
That plan started, when was it? 2019?
2021, I think.
No, 2019 was the first time.
Oh, I looked at his emails from earlier that you said they were 2021. So
We
just in there.
won't, no, people,
We haven't had this.
Okay.
You guys have.
Okay.
so.
Caitlin, thank you. Come around. Thank you for letting us borrow her tonight for as long as we did.
We ended up,
And I guess, same with Ray, you could come up with a set of questions that are
Yeah, we'll be working with them and we'll get Jennifer in
on
touch with you
that, on
both.
that diagram and run it by the board, and we'll get your feedback on
Yeah.
that.
And yeah, so friends of as well, I'll reach out to Judy and I'll reach out to Pete Benfrey with questions about all those fun things.
And the way I'll approach it in tentative for now is I'll aim high on these categories with the hope that we can go lower. And if we have to spread back, basically, we will. Okay, that's the approach.
Caitlin will
Okay.
get some information
Yep.
for us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Colleen Russo, BACC, why don't you come on over? I think you're gonna be quick for compared to the rest of that. While Colleen gets over here, adult recreation seniors are now going to ask for 12,000 instead of 10 to Ben. Thoughts?
I don't
I don't know that they
need it, yeah.
it. Let's see, what do they write?
Also,
Prices have gone up. I think is the main thing that she stated.
do we have
he
some
might
sort
need
of
to
count of how many of their participants live in the
It's
village?
not a ton.
Well, more than you think. I know Mohegan Hills at the very least had a good population of folks that go over there, correct?
So it's mostly the trucks.
Doubleday Woods has some, not many, I want to say. Yeah.
Yeah, but I just wonder of their membership, how many are in the village?
I mean, again, it's all a matter of can we afford it?
Yeah.
If we can afford to go up a little, it's not a huge jump, but if we can't, then we give them
Go back down to what
maybe
they
a little
were,
more than what was last year.
yeah.
Where is it?
It's down the bottom.
Yeah, it's
Oh, yeah, there it is.
7624.
12,000. So 11,000 if we can't afford 12.
And shuttle bus for Wellness Express Care Links is down compared to last year.
I'm confused because I thought it was always 8,000. Like, I'm not sure why it says it's higher. I don't know
Well, it
if
says
there's some other
actual
line.
It may have
79.81.
slid through last year. You may have fixed it and then it get fixed in the final for some reason.
Yeah, I've always heard that it was.
Yeah.
Are we okay at 8 then is the question? Okay,
And
that makes it easy.
again, how many residents?
Yeah, it was 8,000.
It seems to be picking up actually. I'm hearing more and more people
Yeah.
actually doing it.
The good story is they have a new, well, it's not new person, but she's been there 2 years. And when I first got here, I reached out and they were only serving like 8 people for $8,000.
Yeah.
And I said, you really got to work on that.
No, that's a
So
little.
it has gone up to like 20 something. Also, I was able to negotiate.
Momentum.
This new person probably helped. But also I was able to negotiate with them an additional service, not just the Wellness Express, but now Senior Connects, I think it's called. It wasn't explicitly funded by us, so it didn't include us, but they were willing, without costing us more money, to expand it to us. The big challenge is they need more volunteers in this area, and that's so if we can get volunteers, they're willing to include us. They're going to include us on their materials and the website, saying that Ballston Spa is part of their program for both programs. So that was good.
Okay.
And it's a good service.
So we complete everything at the bottom except for celebrations. I got through historian. We got through Bark. Okay. And now back up to BACC. And then we'll complete ask and celebrations to cap off the night, it looks like. So BACC, you have some interesting news for us. You're keeping it at 15,000 annual support and talking about fencing installation increase. But kind of walk us through some of the things you were telling us yesterday, so you want a chance to talk to us.
So one of the reasons we're asking for the fencing costs is we hope that the space that is located directly behind the community playground will be utilized. We know that the community and more directly the youth have been asking for a skate park.
That's correct.
And we've kind of talked about that. And so part of the fencing would be to block off our space from the skate park space so that the kids can still use it during the day when our programs are in session, but also the community playground is used by anyone and everyone in the community from dusk till dawn. So it does provide that space that the 5-year-olds are on the playground swinging, the 13 and 14-year-olds can be in the skate park skating.
Which is a problem having Kelly too and everything else. So it's a common issue of a good issue to have that people are recreating.
And it did include a gate so that you could still access back and forth if you needed to, but it also would kind of keep the youngers here, the older kids over there. So it would just be a one-time expense. And we did get a couple estimates just so that you had an idea if we were looking at that. I was approached about some discussion along the skate park. I know it's not our property, so I was hoping to kind of connect you guys, but kind of stay in the discussion because we're right there. We already kind of have a handle on who's in and out and things like that. So it's definitely something that we would want to be a part of as the community center. We would just kind of defer to you guys as to how much involvement you want from us.
And what are they willing to do essentially from what you can tell?
So basically, there is a level of community support for it and donation support, I think, but also trying to figure out people that know skateboarding and have that ability to know what is necessary. I don't skateboard. And so some of the people that are interested in participating are people that originally developed the skate park about, 15 or so years ago. So they're kind of interested in also coming back together, revamping it, but also bringing in the younger generation. So I think it could be a really great partnership for the community. So that's just kind of very tentative because again, village property, village everything. So I don't want to step on toes with that discussion.
Something I call your attention to, we have you down for $3,000 in the special category from this budget year that we're in right now, and we're showing no outlay on that. Do you know if you had planned something else there? Or?
I don't think that should be there. I think it was 15,000 straight. I'm not aware.
Yeah.
Well, what say you, I guess, Madam Treasurer? Yeah, could you really? Because what I'm thinking here is that if it is allocated for this year, go ahead, start up, and I think finishing, get it from us in this next year for 570.
I don't understand why it would be there.
Yeah,
But,
if you could do it before June.
7141, 420, right? Yeah.
So you have there is a fence and it's not in a bad condition around 90% of that park or so.
It's around the side that goes to the rental property and then the one that backs the tree line. So that it would just be on the back and the front. There is a fence for our parking lot, but there's an opening because it's community. We don't want to totally gate it off.
So the $3,000 is a mischaracterization in this. Technically, it is for skating rink.
Oh, that's a skating rink. Interesting.
So are we getting charged by the Bark Rink people, Amy company? I don't think so. So we have $3,000 that seems to be floating. For
is that to create a rink somewhere else? Oh, that's right. You're going to make a rink at your place, but nobody wanted to do that.
No one saw.
Okay, so now you have $3,000 floating.
So can we take all except 570 off next year?
Would you want to go that route and then bill us back the excess after June 1st?
3,000. I mean, to me, to look at the front, you're saying just the front and back is $3,000.
So it's along the backside. I don't know how long, maybe about 50 feet. I don't know how good my math is. You saw it as well.
Yeah.
And then it would just include the gate, but I think it's 4 foot high enough so that you can.
You got to quote.
There's some electrical lines and whatnot back there, I believe, that you're trying to protect from also. It's not let's say the most prime space in the world, but at least it's escape powerful.
That's going to be used.
Yeah.
So we're going to reduce this too.
So
570.
The other thing
That's good.
I'd advise is to check with the neighbors, because that's the reason the basketball hoop was taken out. It's too noisy. And so,
well, having good hours would be probably
skateboarding is noisy.
Oh no, I get it, but good hours will at least
touch base with them or whatever.
Yeah, and I think too, for generally from dusk till dawn, they get used to in the warmer months there being people out there. Obviously, after dark, I think the basketball hoop too was just kind of attractive. There was no oversight. We are talking about potentially bringing it back. We do have cameras and stuff on site now, so there's a little bit more we're able to see and do, whereas before it was just
Judge, I get, yeah, just check with the neighbor, because
Yeah,
they
oh,
really
yeah.
had problems with the basketball court.
If-
The bouncing of the ball.
If
all night.
we go basketball, pickleball, let's say that's the
Yeah,
feedback, is that something you'd be supportive of generally over
I
there?
think so. I think the community would as well.
Well, Ray's gonna reach out to you,
Yeah,
so.
Absolutely.
make
I
sure.
have a card.
Or he's got a card. Look at the cards. Do you
Yeah.
have busy tomorrow?
Do we know
Sounds
where
like
the
a plan.
equipment that used to be in the park went, or is it totally just, it's gone?
Yeah, we don't.
We don't, there's a
Yeah,
lot
it's
of
like
wood. It's like plywood.
Yeah, it's usually made out of
Yeah, I
plywood.
think it rotted through.
Plywood
Like when
and
your
cinder
son-
blocks and
I
I
stuff
think
like
the
that, right?
suggestion was not to
Yeah.
use, depending on
The
what
same
materials,
things,
but
yeah.
something different. Yeah. So,
Okay. So, great. Put us in touch if you want to. I'd love
Yes.
to hear. And
Yeah.
anything else you want to tell us about back at this point, besides come visit you?
Yeah, and we just expanded our UPK and we are trying to get the teen program. We've had a lot of good response, teen and community. You can kind of see from the numbers, but we're ideally trying to really bump them up this year. So we've gotten really good response. So once the weather opens up a little bit, we're hoping to offer a lot more as well.
And thanks for hosting Jay Onsman's youth football
Yes.
stuff that's going on in that gym a few times the last couple of months. That was great.
Do we need to budget for the equipment for the skate park?
What she's saying is that she has somebody that's essentially
Yeah, we're
willing
gonna
to.
try to get everybody
Yeah.
together and figure out, because I am gonna be honest with you, I have no idea where that cost would begin or end.
Yeah. Mhm.
You could probably build, one.
Yeah, and I'm thinking if we could get volunteers maybe and figure some stuff out.
Terry, insurance wise, we've insured skate park historically when we had it, correct?
I believe so. That was a long time ago.
We might want to call up and ask just to remind them about that then.
See if our rates go up.
The other thing, I mean, the reason it stopped was, Kathy Lee, what she said was it wasn't well used,
Mhm.
so hopefully there is a.
Activities come and go. It's weird how they'll come back into fashion, certain things like this.
Yeah, because my son skateboarded and he's
The
in his
90s are
30s.
coming.
It's really here. All the
Yeah.
clothes are-
The other thing I think that was the arrangement was you had a staff person
Yes.
and we helped pay for that
Yes.
part-time staff person.
And I think
The
we talked a
village.
little bit about having a similar operation, and I don't know, obviously it'd be up to the village and liability and all that stuff, but where it's a skate at your own risk type of thing. There's postings, there's signs, and I think that's how Saratoga also does it, and they're
It
able
is.
to maintain.
Jennifer talked to Katie Tiedemann, I
Yeah.
believe, who is in Saratoga's version of it, so.
And I mean, I think there's the opportunity, we could do skating lessons and have that be a supervised activity provided by, us, but.
I'll try that.
Yeah. So I mean, there's opportunity there to have supervised and recreational activities, maybe for the little bit younger ones, but also have, that free time, cool time, whatever for that.
All right, so you're not worried, or you're
Teen.
not planning to have somebody keep an eye on it necessarily?
Well, they got the cameras. so
Yeah,
that's-
and I think we would, if there's a need, maybe we can come back to it, but I feel like it's really gonna be more that like 12, 13, 14-ish,
Mhm.
and hopefully this will keep them out of trouble versus cause trouble.
Let's hope so.
Yeah.
I'm just excited that we're gonna have more activities, and I'm not trying to give you the hook here, but I will say, go enjoy your kiddos.
Yeah,
Thank you.
And thank you very much
Yes,
for
I
everything.
appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. You do a great
All right, I
job
got one
over
more
there.
part about the 15,000. So that was a big jump last year, partially in response to the COVID, you're having a hard time. Again, we don't know what our revenue is, so your finances better than they used to be?
They are. The biggest thing is with COVID brought about a lot of grant opportunities that we're just no longer going to have. So this year is going to be kind of that year post-COVID seeing, because a lot of the grant funding that was there to kind of get everything stabilized isn't going to be there. And just inflation, the cost of everything, we've had to increase our hiring rate and things like that. So we're hoping that that'll kind of stabilize a little bit, but those grants just aren't going to be there.
When you redo your fence before June 1st.
Yes.
And you put up at 3,000, please remind us in the request that this was in lieu of skating rink
Yep.
money. That way there's so many things coming at us right now that.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Thank
I
you,
get it.
Colleen.
Thank you
Appreciate
so
you.
much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you
Have a
very
good
much.
night.
Like everything else, we have to see the revenue to see if we have to cut anybody.
Let's go to ask at this point. Would that make more sense here? We'll go from the top of the page again. Mark Blackman on down.
So you saw Carla's notice? Do you have a response to that?
Yeah, I don't have a sibling that is a member of the board of Ask, so.
She used to be.
She's not anymore.
When did-
Mary
when did
Lasky is our new treasurer.
So when did she step down?
A couple days ago, yesterday.
Days ago.
Yesterday.
Yesterday.
Couple days ago. I've been building birdhouses. She's
So-
no longer
a member
Mary
of
Lasky.
the board of Acts,
Yeah.
period.
Right, well, the request came in when you were on the board,
Not anymore.
so,
So Ben, what you're trying to say is I can't vote on the budget.
not the budget.
Well, it's a request inside the budget of a multitude of things. So
On this aspect of the budget.
there's no vote occurring in this budget.
No, but
No, I would not say that. I would not say you have to recuse from the whole budget.
Okay,
no,
then move on.
Right.
just from this discussion.
No.
I don't
Well,
think that's fair, guys.
that's-
Let's just continue.
All right, so we're,
And
so this,
when it was
continue.
brought up that I assisted a friend and that was considered conflict of interest, how would you explain that in relation to your sister?
Okay, we're talking about the budget, so
No,
let's
I'd
stay
like an answer.
focused.
I'd like an answer to this question.
Gina, would you like to answer it since you're being brought up here?
Because there is an illegal activity involved, there is.
The legal,
Okay, yes.
no, conflict of interest.
Okay, conflict of interest when you're pushing through something and you're rewarding bad behavior. When zoning is going to be done by the village, but you're trying to jam it through before the
I think
election.
he wasn't ever friend.
I am not
There
a
was
member
no-
of the board of
Guys, we're
Act.
detracting
not.
here.
I'm
no longer-
Do you
volunteer.
have documentation that you're gonna submit for that?
I'll send it to you.
You want my resignation letter, definitely send it to them, Mark.
I will send it to you.
Back to the budget.
Our
Was that, was that for?
I think I also need
created
to.
by Mary Lasky.
I would think
I
that,
also need to ask, or bring a couple things now. Since you're going here, it's time to go in the reverse for a second here. Number one, I've always said my sister is an independent person, no matter what. You've asked me to control her before, and that will never happen. Number two, if there was ever a time I was going to be in a position to step into a situation, when you put your hand in her face last Monday night, most people would have socked you for that in my position as their family member. Basically, you have
All
an
right, so we're
attack
gonna
on them.
start this. She came into my face and I had to
She
step
came to
away
talk to you.
and she followed me down the
You
hall.
called
I
her
went to
a
the back.
horrible person.
And Mark.
No,
Awful
she
person,
called me
she-
a little girl. All
After.
right, so the whole thing is just obnoxious and ridiculous. You're gonna bring this up. This doesn't help anybody, Frank. She was very obnoxious to me at the last meeting, and I walked away.
And you wasted our
I walked
lawyer's
away,
time.
and you're
with
bringing it
this
up.
question.
You're
Guys.
bringing it up now
Guys.
for no good reason,
Ben,
except your
guys.
political
Let's
situation.
focus
No, you
on
just
the
wasted-
budget.
You are not helping
You
the
just
village.
wasted
man.
our
You
attorney's
are
time.
not, no, I
You're
did
not
not.
helping our attorney's time? I
No.
don't have a sidewalk vote still.
How did we know that she's not the
Guys,
officer?
this is embarrassing.
No.
Stop.
I'm going to,
Stop.
no.
We should
No,
just
I'm
focus
not,
on this.
I'm not
Ben,
stopping because you're yelling at me. That's
You're
not happening.
screaming at him. Guys,
Who started
let's-
this?
oh,
This is
come
This is
on.
absurd.
Let's just
All right,
focus
so
on
Frank,
the budget.
The way-
We didn't, all right, so here's,
way you
I'm-
have
for the
The
record,
way you
I
continuously
asked
treat
Carla-
women is
can you not
abysmal.
talk?
oh,
each other?
now you're,
It is.
you're talking about that. For the record, I asked Carla because as far as we knew you were one of the two members of Ask Board, and that would be a conflict. It's not
You did the
about, it's
same
not about
thing.
you.
You
It's
did the
not about
same
you and your
thing.
sister's personality
You did
or
the
whether you
same
control her.
thing. You did
It's
the
about a
same thing.
situation.
You did the same
And
thing
the
to
fact
Mary
is-
Price Bush during the
The
debate
fact
about
is,
her.
the
and
fact
the
is,
police department
Carla
then.
found that if she is on the board, if she is an officer of the board, that you would have to recuse yourself.
So at what
So
point did
the
you ask?
fact
At
is
what point did you
that
ask?
my question was very valid
At
and
what point did
legitimate
you-
question
At what point did you ask
because
Frank
she
Rossi?
found that it was valid and legitimate, and that if you were the brother of someone on the board had asked, you would have to recuse yourself. Now, this information that she just stepped down yesterday, we didn't know. We had no way of knowing that. So that's a new situation.
Did you ask anybody before making our lawyer waste time on this subject?
I asked her if she knew or not, and I had
Who is
no
she?
documentation.
Who is she?
Carla, she didn't know either.
Okay,
Yeah.
so nobody would
I didn't
ask the
even
question
know
to save a
who
little bit of
was
money.
on
Why did you step down? Was it because you had something?
No,
before the
actually, she
village?
reviewed the updated ethics draft that you guys put in. And she said to me, you know what? They're aiming for you, Frank, aiming for
No,
her.
this is the existing ethics
I'm well
law.
aware.
The existing one is the one Carla.
Either way, the issue is she saw it. She said, you know what? Instead of being a political football that you accuse everything else of being, she stepped down and she did the right
should have
thing.
told us. She should have told us.
We just did.
Well, if you told us when you did it, we wouldn't have wasted Carla's time.
Nobody really knew it was a real subject.
Wait a minute, time out. It is not my responsibility to answer to you, Ben. You should have asked me a question. Is Gina still a member of the board? Yes or no? It would have saved attorney time and all this BS that's going
I
on right
assumed,
now.
you're right, I assumed you were because you've been equally active forever with this organization.
Oh, no, but my volunteering is a problem with you too, Ben?
No, I'm just saying, there's no indication that you would step down.
And there's
So-
no indication that I didn't.
Right.
What?
So I didn't know that you would step down. So
So you
I should
apologize?
have asked.
Are you-
Why? No, because I
Okay.
didn't know.
You know what? I apologized to you earlier for a phone call.
Why am I apologizing for a situation that Carla validated was a valid concern, as far as any of us
There was
knew?
no concern.
She didn't say it was a valid concern. She answered your question
Yeah,
of
she
a what
said,
if.
she said, yes, if Gina was still the officer, that you would have recused yourself. So that she's not the officer now, so you don't have to.
So let me.
I would think just,
Excuse me, ma'am.
No,
Thank you.
I'd like to- I'd like to
Excuse me, I'm
make a
talking for
point.
1 second here. I'd like to ask one question. When did you put in this request to Carla?
Today, I didn't ask her to write anything. I picked up the phone and said, is this an issue?
Okay, so basically it springboards off of the fact that last Monday when she was accused of having ethics violation.
No, it had nothing to do with that, zero. It had the fact that ASC gets a lot of money from us, and there has been you voted when she was on the board. That was a conflict.
They were unanimous votes. I don't vote unless I have to be a tiebreaker technically.
You were
I just
involved in the
didn't say I
conversation.
recused
Not
out
only
loud.
that,
I'm sorry.
not only that, when you went to the town
The
of
mayor
Ballston,
doesn't vote.
you were
The
in
mayor
con-
only breaks
No, no.
ties.
So you were in the conversation. You should have recused yourself from the whole discussion.
Conversation, yeah.
Secondly, if you look at our current ethics law, it's unethical against the law for
I
you
don't
to
vote in the town of Ballston.
for you to go to the town of Ballston to represent a private entity on behalf of the village is not
To
allowed.
offset the amount of money we were being asked to give, where?
We didn't ask to give anything because we weren't consulted before you did that.
We're gonna miss it.
I would
Well,
think
Frank
just
said he was
to,
going. Here, no officer, employee, official, or member of his or firm shall appear on behalf of private interests before any board, commission, agency, or committee of the village with which
Of
he is
the
affiliated.
village.
So,
Of the village. That is the town of Ballston. Just like I appeared before the planning board there for an application, and you claimed that you had business interests with the applicant, which you don't.
The SPA, we're gonna.
I would
prime,
think
and then the
just
kids- They have bases, and then we'll have the kids.
to
paint them.
assure everybody that there is
in the
no
parking lot,
conflict of
and,
interest,
you
you
know,
would
it
recuse
goes
yourself. Just, even if you didn't have to.
Yeah.
Excuse me?
very fun. And then we're gonna put
What did you just say?
all over those too.
No, say it again.
I would think just to assure the residents of the village that there is no conflict, it should-
Right after you, Liz.
What?
Right after you.
My sister, I have two half sisters.
Right after you, Liz.
What?
Right after you.
all right, so this is what
Okay,
I'm,
direct
this
us
is
to
where,
town
yeah, I'm fine with you staying if she's not on the board.
She's not.
I'm going to acknowledge, or I'll acknowledge that it was a conflict of interest when you were part of the conversation when she was on the board. No longer exists, but in the past, that was a conflict of interest.
Ben, just to correct you, I was not on the board when you held those votes. I didn't.
How long were you on the board?
I have been on the board for a very limited
Didn't you
time.
start on the board with that?
No,
No,
You were on the board in November. And when we were
Based
discussing
on what?
an email from Mark So anyway, I'd like to, it would be interesting to see the timeline of when you were on the board, but in any case, we discussed Saratoga Arts grants when she was on the board with you. And I'm just saying, I think you should have.
Saratoga Arts grants?
That was part of, yes, when Mark was
That's
getting
not
all
an
upset.
outlay for the Village of
It
Ballston
was,
Spa.
yes, we were involved in.
That's not an
sponsoring that.
outlay by the Village of
It
Ballston
was
Spa.
a transaction, it was a sponsorship.
It's not an
Yes.
outlay by the Village of
No,
Ballston
it
Spa.
doesn't have to be an outlay. It's
Okay.
interest.
Yeah.
Okay.
We said we would move forward and discuss these
Can we
things that are
stop it?
related
I
to.
am not on the board of Ask. Please carry on. It's getting late. We want to leave.
Please do.
Liz, you're out of line and out of order now. You just insulted a public member, which, okay, you can say what you
And I've
want.
been insulted by your sister, your friends, by you. So please, don't
Okay,
lecture
you're
me.
such the victim, Liz, at the end of
All
the
right,
day.
let's
You're
get
held to
back.
a higher standard, Liz.
Let's get back to this.
As an elected official, as your attorney.
Today's forum.
Happy.
Thank you.
What would you like to talk about, Mark?
We're doing Ask or doing the.
Ask.
Okay. Well, let's start with Family Fun Day. Excuse me. Sorry. Let's start with next year's birdhouse program. So this year, you graciously gave me $5,000 with we asked for 10. There was no money because it was the end of the year. We're asking for 10,000 for next year. I wanted to show you guys, we have, so far, we started out with 1,000 birdhouses built. We're now at 1,500. This is the amount of birdhouses. These are all the requests that were filled already. You want to look at these? These are the ones that we're unable to fill. And I still have 60 more emails I have to tell people. We're
Are you telling them
providing.
next year possibly or something like that?
I'm
Are
sorry?
you telling them next year possibly?
Try
So
again.
the 5th annual is this year?
Yes.
This is 5th annual.
Then why is there?
The festival. That's the festival. That's separate from the program.
Is that a Saratoga Arts grant candidate or no? Where
Yes.
possible, let us know that because that's.
Okay, we are still for the 5th annual, the 2023, this program
Yes.
doesn't go with your schedule. We're hoping to get a $5,000 grant to finish the program, the birdhouse program for this year. And actually, I talked to May. It's not coming out till the end of March, not middle of March. Okay, so we're waiting. We're all waiting. Everyone is in the same boat. So what do you want? I'm sorry.
Well, it's just as I understand it, the materials are donated, right?
No, some of the materials are donated. Half of the material, they donated 6,000 linear feet. That was enough for the first 900. So the second 600 we paid for through our grants and our things.
Okay.
And for the tower, this. And I didn't send you guys the letters. We're doing.
That's going to go with the celebration, that tower. Is that what that's for?
That's for the birdhouse program in Wiswell Park.
Right, that the celebration basically. You're kicking off with that in Wiswell Park.
Well, yeah, so it will be part of the festival.
Yeah.
It will be there all summer. Part of the celebration. It's part of the program. The celebration is the festival. Where's I going with this? Okay, so again, we have a lot. Actually, this is included in the ones we're filling. We're making 200 extra right now. That's why I'm very tired.
You give them away.
Yes,
Well,
they come back though.
Okay, but you don't get them all back.
No, of course.
About what percentage don't come back?
Actually, the last time we did it, we gave out 650. We got back 475.
So
Pretty good.
It's
Yeah.
2/3. That's actually a very good for a for a community program where you're giving stuff away.
And the ones from
So-
Spectrum News on Tuesday's story, were they from this year's?
They were from this year's. That was from Saratoga Bridges, excuse me, and from Doubleday Woods.
Those were incredible.
Yeah, they do the Saratoga Bridges does an incredible work. And of course, the Doubleday Woods folks are wonderful.
Keep that stone one handed because that's going to get a mayor's award.
Yeah, that's
for sure.
You'd be amazed. There are going to be some incredible ones.
Yeah.
Do you remember the one that used to be on the website?
I don't actually.
Was it?
The carved one?
No, not the carved one, the stone one.
Oh, no.
The stone, I don't remember. I'm sorry.
No. It had the stones on.
There's lots of, someone always does. It's very nice. At least this one used cement and not hot glue.
Yeah.
We have a lot.
One thing I heard on the news story, which I wanted, you to confirm, is that they reported that, the folks paint them and bring them back here and then, you put them on
Use
the pole.
non-toxic materials. She said that multiple times.
But if the person who made the birdhouse wants to own it, which, you got kids and adults.
She misspoke at first. I think she caught herself. You can't guarantee that they're going to be able to find theirs because somebody else might buy
No,
it.
but
So
it
you
said
can buy
that you
any.
charge them for it.
We charge a nominal amount, just as the library, we did it. And that's the money that usually
Well,
goes
it's like
to.
$20 or $25 a.
What?
No,
I charge 10.
No, she said a nominal.
Nominal.
she
Oh,
said.
God, no.
Yeah,
No
but
one
still,
would buy it. They
I
wouldn't buy it
mean,
at 15.
For me, that feels, when your children do an art project in school, they bring it home. They don't have to pay for it. To make,
I think there's an understanding
In other
that
words,
if
it's
you want
not
a
for-
project to continue. If you want to finance the budget for what they would be foregoing for selling them,
Well,
there's another
Yeah.
discussion, I guess.
if the thoughts of
Most
it is
people
helping.
don't. No, most people don't. It's like the Christmas ornaments we do or the Christmas.
Well, I
banner.
know a lot of people
Most
didn't
people-
want them, but
yeah, most
still for the people,
By October, they're really sort of out of, let's face it, your kids do the artwork, it stays on the fridge for a week or two, and then we all, all
I
my
kept
nieces,
some of them.
my nieces and nephews, they
No,
send
but
it, I
to
love
me,
it.
that kind of just doesn't feel right. That you
It's a
would
fun-
charge a family, and they may not have money or whatever to
That's
buy
a
it back.
whole nother question.
That's all, yeah, it's
No,
so
well,
nominal.
it means that, your organization is making money from this.
Which
event.
we use for the next thing.
It's a not-for-profit.
Yeah,
Well, there's
we
also-
need to.
You
we
do
need-
also have labor costs.
Yes, we have lots of labor costs. This is a very labor-intensive program.
Right.
Yeah,
Does Brook-
very labor.
But Brookside, for instance, sells things to stay afloat, right? So, this
But
is
they work
normal for the
on-
not-for-profit.
They
You do too,
work.
right? Yes.
I mean,
Alex, like,
You're a new executive,
But Billy, you don't draw a salary.
but the executive director does.
It's a little weird though to charge so much for something they
The
make.
director, the
Yeah.
director, you're
They're
paying.
not guaranteed they're
Why
going to
are
get the money
they-
made back. That's
Why
the
are you
whole
paying
thing.
the director?
Because somebody else may say, hey, I want that one.
Oh, well, so it's a job.
The job that.
Why don't they do it for free?
Okay, folks,
Because it's a job. that-
Okay,
Well,
just like the,
nobody should be undervaluing people's work at this point. This is what I can't stand we do
Yes.
at times and micromanage that stuff. Let's
so
go.
yes, we
okay.
write grants, that takes time, Liz. We, there's lots of phone calls, there's lots of grants
Oh, I
that
know
we
this
don't
is-
get.
but
There's lots of work that goes into running these programs.
I think this program has been very successful and you've expanded it, but you've really expanded it beyond Ballston Spa.
It all comes
I
back to
think,
Ballston Spa. These are about bringing people, all these people are going to come to Ballston Spa to see their artwork. And while they're walking around the village, they'll go into our shops. They may want to move here because it's a wonderful, look at the art program. Where else around here does an art program like this, an engaging art program happen? This is part of the charm of our village.
I think I used the
Is
word
that-
community 18 times in the same sentence on the fifth
Yeah.
take we did. So it's what it is.
the thing is, it's really, the benefit of the village is sort of secondary. It's the
No, it's-
primary beneficiaries of this are our businesses.
That's how BSBA was characterized by you too. And I think that is one of the most hideous things you said in these three
Why is that
sessions.
hideous? It's an
Because-
organization
Businesses do
developed.
well, it's really good for a community. I mean, when I was growing up, there was a time when it was concerning to walk. I got catcalled as a 16-year-old by adult men. When our businesses filled in, that went away. So it's so tremendously important to bring things that support our businesses, bring people traffic and more
Well,
money.
that's
So
why we
Even like-
so
I've
I think
used
it's
this-
a direct benefit.
I've used this
personally.
discussion point with Kelly Park recently to say we've heard about a lot of miscreants in the park area hiding whatever or doing things to scare the kids away. The more activity we have in Kelly Park, the less we're going to have the miscreants because it'll chase it away to a certain degree. And that's the whole thing. The more activity you have in your community, the better off this community is, period.
The other
Yeah,
thing,
but at
the
what
arts have,
price?
well, the arts have been shown to help with mental health and wellness, calmness, engaging with people. Seniors is wonderful for seniors to get involved. The sense of pride and community involvement. You haven't picked up your birdhouse yet, Ellie. You can't say anything.
Well,
So these are proven facts about the arts, engaging arts, not just viewing art, but this is about people getting engaged in their community. So when there are, it's hands-on, it's everyone, it's accessible to everyone, no matter whether you're artistic or you're not artistic. It's something everyone can do.
I think it's worth supporting, but the level is,
Well, it's.
So what are
we're
you
getting national
suggesting was
recognition.
ultimately between the end of the fifth and the beginning of the sixth, basically? What are you suggesting?
The end,
I
I'm sorry.
think your
You've
program
got the
is
fifth
so
and the sixth split
successful that it should basically be supporting itself by now. It's been 5 years.
Wow.
Well, you just hollered at them for charging money.
Well,
How-
if it's
but
gonna do
should
that, then-
BACC be self-supporting? They've been around for 30 years, right?
well, we
why-
only give them 15,000.
15,000.
Well, and they
Why do we
directly support the children who live in this
So do I.
community.
So does this program, right?
So I think the birdhouses have been great and good contribution to this community. I don't necessarily see the need to keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger.
Guys, these are the people that want it. These are the people we can't, what are you supposed to do? Say no to somebody?
Well, what I'm saying is there's a limited amount of revenue. We have so many obligations. And so to spend, say, 10,000 plus 2,500 on a festival and another 2,500 on a festival. So
2,500 on, there's only one other festival.
Walk through this one at a time.
There's another 2,500 coming from,
Anna.
there's a birdhouse festival down here from Ask.
Yeah,
It's
split
like,
between-
twice.
Yeah.
It's fifth annual,
No.
then sixth annual, then banner, then banner.
Well, there's some birdhouse in.
2,500. If you look down below at celebrations, village celebrate 7,500 banners, 25K birdhouse festival, 5K.
Is that 5K the Saratoga Arts grant
And then
that's
there's
on there?
And that, what?
Yeah.
Showing?
Where are you looking?
Where are you looking?
75, 50, 400. 75, 50, 400.
I can't.
When it comes, I mean.
Hold on, Liz, hold on, let me read for 1 second.
I'm not sure where that's coming from.
Right here,
This is what I.
Birdhouse Festival and 75, 50, 400.
Is that for, okay, there was. Wait, we
I think
have
one might have been from the mayor's
the spring well,
task force and one from you.
well, that's different then.
But it's
Spring,
a birdhouse.
spring
Do you have
banners,
celebrations? list?
Birdhouses are at the top.
spring banners, we have the holiday program.
Did Milton donate to the village for this and that's the 5 or something like that?
I don't know what,
Oh,
Right
that's
here, that's
Hold on.
Oh, it's
we
the
got it.
Spring
mayor's task
Birdhouse
force.
Festival.
Yeah.
That's down
5,000
here.
mayor's.
oh, the total, you mean? Well, those are
That's
two
kind of
separate.
separate request.
So the
Yeah, but it's for
festival
the
is
same program.
5K.
So,
Then
so,
we've
what-
been
okay, Mark, what's
Yeah.
happened here is that Ask has asked for 2,500 for the end of the 5th annual. And then in the mayor's task force celebrations request, 7,500 got asked for for banners,
Yeah.
for BSFD appreciation, and then
Oh,
5,000.
that's separate. Oh, wait.
Then 5,000 for Spring Birdhouse Fest for 2024.
I see.
Oh, that,
This is next year's,
Yeah, for the 6th.
One is this year, one's next year.
which probably would be punted to the next budget year, if we're- right?
If this one is,
Yeah, one per customer budget year scenario.
Okay.
So, okay,
yeah,
so
we'll fix that.
So we can take the 5.
I think the 5 goes then for the next
Mhm.
one, if that's 2024. Okay,
Is that down below here?
yes.
That's the below one, yeah.
Which one am I crossing out?
The one under celebrations, the first
Yeah.
line under
That's
celebrations, just
so
the
instead of
5,000.
7,500, it's,
20.
Okay.
Yep.
okay, we got that.
all right, so
It's just, all of these are just a lot of money compared to what they were in the past.
yeah, I mean, I could see Smithsonian birdhouses, but not $10,000.
Well, in 2021 actual for the 7010 401 402 403, although we have Solomon Grant listed there, so I'm not sure how this applies to it, but let's throw out Solomon Grant for a second, if that was reflexive. It's $18,000 between 401 and 402 in 2021. His combined ask is no pun intended, is $17,500.
In just this section, but then,
This is ask.
yeah, well, there's ask and there's a mayor's subcommittee, which,
Well, those
Task
events
force.
are the village's events, so
well.
you can't hold it
it's the
against
same-
him.
No, it's not.
Well, it's 16,000
Are you
you're
gonna
asking
work on
for
those?
family day.
Am I gonna?
If he's gonna work on it, he's been doing it as a volunteer for his time,
So-
of his time.
So
That's-
I would,
Right.
my position is I could see not spending 10,000 on the birdhouse, but spending less, depending on.
Give me a number, then we tell guy on
Well, at
this.
least not more than 5, in my opinion.
That's not doable. It's really
Well, you've
not.
done it before, just a smaller program.
So you want to shrink the program because that really is a really bad marketing.
Well.
I just don't
you
want to
go
spend
others
$10,000
to
on birdhouse.
fill
We
in.
have a water tower, we have all these other things that,
Well-
permanent things that need to be done. That's all. It's just a
I
matter
don't
of,
get how you're micromanaging his getting a nominal amount for a birdhouse and then suddenly saying, but, you should be raising your own money. You can't have it both ways.
well, I think the
We do
birdhouse, I
raise
think
our
you did
money.
a great job with the 5,000 we gave.
Yeah,
See, and this is why, so when I worked in the film industry, when a client would always come to me and says, Mark, do us a favor, do it for half what you're asking. The problem is they'll never, ever agree to do it for what it's really worth because they think you have them over the barrel.
We got public comment from Keith
So-
Lewis. Why don't we let him go here for a
Well,
moment? And-
hold on a minute.
Well,
So not only did
Wait a minute, it's my meeting.
So not only did I exceed what we did, what I promised you I would do, which is 1,000, we're doing 15,000. And as I said, I have all these people who want more birdhouses.
Let me let the public comment go in
Okay,
here.
go
I
on.
think it's fair. Keith, same thing. I'm going to mute until you're done talking each time. 90 seconds. Go ahead.
Gosh, I just put a piece of chocolate in my mouth.
Okay, fine. We'll restart the clock right now. Go ahead.
Keith Lewis, 38 East 5th Street. So it would seem if it's a popular event and it's working well and it's drawing from outside the community, it would seem to be reasonable for people that are coming to the event to participate outside the community would contribute some of the funding to that, or their communities would contribute, because now it's kind of extending into a Saratoga event. And so I think that, the village taxpayer doesn't mind contributing to the village taxpayers' children, but I'm not so sure they're going to feel the same way about all of Saratoga as this expands out. And either those other municipalities can participate, and their children can participate with it without being charged, or there can be a nominal fee that would offset the village paying for other children in other areas. And then the other thing is just, if these events are being used to generate business income, I really feel like the Business Professional Association should be involved in these events so that the deliverables are are clear, because I don't think the village, you guys really need to concentrate on your infrastructure and the things, that have been promised to the residents. If this benefits the businesses, then certainly they're going to want to participate.
Keith, one quick question. Is our audio okay? Because I lost my audio feed earlier. I just want to make sure it returned right.
Yeah, your audio is good.
Thank you, and thanks for your
Did you
contribution.
hear us yelling?
Yes, I think they heard it without the audio on.
I mean,
Thanks, Keith.
there's limited resources and the arts are worth investing in, but not investing in
This
at
is not just-
the cost of other things that we have to do.
Public comment in the audience continues.
Gina Morosi, non-board member of ASK. You guys are under the mistaken idea that you are the sole financer, that what you give to Mark for his programs finances the entire program. It doesn't. You are contributing to his program. You are not 100% financing it. And Mark, maybe you can expand, expand on that a little bit.
Yeah, we get other money for the birdhouse program. The cost of the birdhouse program is not $5,000 or $10,000. It is about, at this point, about $25,000. And a lot of that's labor and a lot of that is materials, probably even split. Now, you're right, some of the other communities, we could charge them, then they want those birdhouses to stay in their communities. In fact,
Maybe that's all right.
well, do we want this not to be a Ballston Spa program?
Well, as you know, I'm concerned about, after they've been up for a while, they fall apart and become trash.
And then they buy new ones, then they make new ones next year.
Then
But
we're littered with birdhouses, what I'm worried about.
We had 3 on the trail, guys.
There were
We had
3 on the
No, but
Well,
after a while,
More than that. A lot more
it's
than
too
that.
much for such a small village. And I think,
Hold on, let Bernadette test.
I think it would be wonderful if you expanded it to the
Okay,
neighborhood.
Bernadette's been pretty quiet through this, so let her talk.
Just to clarify, Jen and I walked and picked up ones that were on the trail that were down, and really there was only about like 3 or 4.
When was that?
That was in the
Right after that
spring.
meeting.
It was really right after that meeting.
And thank you to Rotary for offering to do it themselves
Yes,
too.
and Rotary went to.
Yeah.
we
just put it up on the trail and,
There wasn't many.
But
But thank you to Donna and
Is
Ray,
it-
and to Rotary for that.
Do you want this to become a Ballston, do you want this to stay a Ballston Spa event? Or would you even be happy if the birdhouses leave and it goes to another location?
I mean, I'm fine with that. I think
Flies the coop.
I'm fine with not having 1,500 or.
Are you fine with not having any?
Birdhouses. I like
Because
the
what if-
program, but that's why I'm saying.
I like the first year better because you had more handcrafted by
Well,
artists and stuff.
We always have the same amount of those.
I am actually taken aback, and Curtis Lumber's participation is based on a lot of this. The amount of youth involvement right now is unheard of. I mean, unheard of right now.
Well, I think the part where you're having kids build them and promoting those it's great, but
it's just a matter of priorities and limited resource. For example,
our kids are a priority. Period! Exclamation point.
We should fix the pool, which is for a kid, but we can't afford it because we don't have enough money. What I'm saying is
usable
because of our limited resources. I think it's enough for the village to spend $5,000
I can't do
on
anything.
birdhouses.
I'm not willing to do it for 5,000 again. That's all there's to it.
What are you going to do?
Well,
It'll be somewhere else. Other communities have reached out.
Well,
all right. Well,
So
it just
Troy
anyway.
had-
We'll see
not
what the
Troy,
revenue is.
Schenectady.
We'll see what our revenue is. But
they have more resources than we do. We're a little village.
Schenectady doesn't have more resources.
Oh, yeah, they do.
They're huge.
Yeah, they get,
You know, I mean,
they got
is
$10
this?
million.
Rayon would like
People were-
public comment.
So people were very upset when other schools were making the birdhouses
Ray, go ahead.
Yeah.
in the community because they wanted only Ballston Spa schools to make.
Where in Middlebrook are you?
16. No, 16. First question is, to those that don't want to finance this to the necessary levels, I'm assuming that you've talked to at least, how many was on the survey? 149 people and they have told you that this is what they support. If not, then you really haven't gotten a good consensus from your constituents.
What
as
survey
to
is it?
what, huh?
What survey? Oh, sorry, you just
I didn't
mentioned.
say anything about
I thought you just said 149 survey.
Well, I was asking how many was done on the survey, which we said that's a good amount of people
Oh,
to
for the
get,
playground,
to get
or the
information.
Wiswall Park, you're talking
What's
that?
Wiswall.
about. So you were referencing Wiswall.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
So let me finish. I'm
That's
still
his
trying to make my
comment.
comment.
Yep.
If you've actually gone to that many people, I would take it very, very, very seriously that, oh, they've all said that we shouldn't do this, that it's not good to draw people into our village, that it's not good to get the participation of school kids, that it's not good to promote the trades, that it's not good to get these people into our village to help the businesses and the museum, that the two museums that we have, and see all the things that we have to offer, like BACC. Hey, I didn't know I could bring my kids up there. I didn't know there were parks. That lovely park on Front Street that we spent so much money doing. Maybe, I'll come here and use that park more often when I get my meal from one of the restaurants on Front Street and go over there and eat at the tables. Have you surveyed people about this, or is this just your view? Secondly,
That's not our view.
It's not your view. So you have surveyed a number of people.
Everything you said is not our view. We don't. You said we don't support this, that, the other. That's not our view. We do.
No, I'm
support it.
saying at the level that.
But Liz, first off, it's his public comment. You guys are interrupting it.
All right.
At the, I said, at the level that is being asked. That's what I said. Okay. Secondly, the amount of kids that are involved in things is absolutely incredible. And I hope that you will go on record when we have the news people back here saying that we're going to make this program smaller. Okay, you can sit by your little Hoosier and say, yes, we're going to make this program smaller because we don't want as many people taking these birdhouses and we don't want all these people coming in. So tomorrow, when the news people knock on your door, I want to know that you're going to say that.
Well,
Thank you,
and
Ray.
the store owners
Okay.
We're not.
and
Okay,
the
Ray, I'm gonna
families.
give you a proposition. We have $6,000 on your Kelly Park. Are you willing to give that to him?
Yes. I will give it to you. You got it.
No, I mean, what,
Hey,
we
we'll
have
raise the money.
limited,
We have to make choices.
we have to make choices.
Liz, I raised $20,000 in less than 6 months last year for the park that I didn't charge this village a damn penny for.
Liz,
So don't challenge me because I
Well, then
will.
raise it for him.
Liz, you know something?
We do.
Okay, calm down. Liz, out of respect, Liz,
This is
one of the things you asked me when I referred to my hours, because you bring up your hours around here, yada, yada, and I said, I do a lot of hours too. After a meeting, you said to me, do you count the time you spend at basketball games, et cetera, sporting events? And I don't think you understand that that's not work. That's something that's a pleasure. That's something that we get out into the community and bring out our youth, promote our youth, and it's invaluable. And I don't consider that hours I put into the village. I just think you have such a misconception of what this community is looking for and desires and wants. It's just in that exchange was horrible.
Can we stop grandstanding and just?
It's not grandstanding, Ben.
Yes, it is.
Ben, you know something?
I'm grandstanding and leaving.
Yeah,
Okay.
seriously.
And
I'm about to also.
Resignation from the committees and everything else.
No,
That's not mine. You want my resignation from the other committees because he's got to have the money that I was hoping to improve a park with. You can have that too.
That was.
Too bad I don't do enough
Not
of this
good.
damn village.
This is a question of negotiating with.
She just horse traded $6,000 of
No.
community
That was
activity money.
hypothetical,
That's
rhetorical.
not the way you do it, though.
No.
Well, how would you do it when you have a limited amount of funds? Would you give it all to your pro? No, I mean.
10,000 is
It's a
all.
lot of money.
It's a-
Birdhouses. It's a lot of
It's
money
not for birdhouses.
All right, so
It is for community engagement with thousands of people. People come here
I-
to see
it is-
birdhouses.
you have-
They walk through the streets to look at the birdhouses, the banners.
It's,
It
it
is not.
belongs
great.
more with an organization that's mission is to promote business. Our
It is-
mission is not to promote, as our number one mission is not to promote business.
It's-
Our mission is to provide services
Promoting.
Liz,
to our
Liz,
residents.
let me break some news to you right now. You used to say, our job is to make sure the water turns on, that the toilets flush. And you missed one important concept, because we'll do that, and we do that. But it's also in a community like ours, 5,100 people like this, with the youth we have around us, 5,100 by census, it's to promote our community. It is our job. And for you to think it's not, you know what?
Is it your
tells me
job
about.
before?
It tells me about.
Is it before, if the toilets don't flush and the
Walk
water
and chew
doesn't?
gum. Walk and chew gum, Liz.
That's what
Walk
we
and
used to
chew
tell
gum.
you guys.
I don't understand. I was just sitting here when you're giving money to the Ballston Museum and the Brookside.
Yeah,
What
and
is
how
that
much
for?
money did we
All right,
give
all right.
them?
So we have a difference of opinion. Well, I like what you've done.
And BACC
value-
and BSPPA
Mark, I've said this,
and BARC. Why are you giving money for BARC?
we have decreased many things. I don't know if you've noticed, but just about every organization, we say, where can we reduce?
Wait, come on, Ray, why can you use big lift?
You get stuck sometimes.
Can we just? Just a second.
What do you need? Need help?
Just a second.
You need my help? But that thing's broken?
It gets stuck.
Yeah. We give $12,000 to a year-round program that supports our children. We give $15,000 to another program, BACC, that's year-round and supports our children. And one festival,
So basically, you're upset that we spend something less than 2% of our budget on the activities that support our children.
No, I'd give Bark and Zach less if we had to, right? If we had to give them less,
That makes no sense.
if we had no money, we'd have to give them less and they'd have to deal with it. And that's true
What's
for
the
every
first thing
organization,
Mayor
every
Romano
department
cut?
here.
what did he cut when they started running into financial difficulties?
I wasn't
They
here, I
cut
don't
the
know.
not-for-profits.
So-
They cut the events. They cut all these
That's great,
celebrations.
Liz. Hi, Mayor Rossi. I always seem to have to introduce myself at this table. Mayor Rossi. I'm not John Romano. I'm
No,
not
I'm saying,
Larry Wilbright.
as
I'm
an
not Christine
example-
Fitzpatrick either.
As an example, when resources are limited, you cut the discretionary funding.
Okay, so we don't know what the
Would you
revenue is.
rather let a
Liz, this
person go?
entire 3 days was to talk about discretionary
Yeah, so we're
funding.
talking about it now.
Okay, and this is the first time you've taken this line on any discretionary item, just so,
Because these are huge.
Just to give a little bit more perspective, it's not a one-day festival. It's been a whole program. When did it start? I've
We
honest-
started
like
in
delivering the wood, right?
like September, October.
So it's like multi-months sort of process. And then there's the process when they are decorating and designing those birdhouses. And we often forget, I think, in our position maybe that, some families might not have a lot. And these sort of programs are really wonderful for them. And so to say it's a one-day event, or one-time festival, it's a long.
Okay, then if you want to put more money towards birdhouses, then we have to take some out of celebrations, which are one-day events. Okay?
You're missing my point.
No,
Hold on. My point is we have families here and we have children here, and not everything is about, listen, we're going to make sure things are moving and that toilets flush and your water is running. But one of the things that definitely attracts people to this community is the fact that we give a crap about this stuff. And excuse my language. And thank you, Allie. I appreciate that. So I would encourage all of us to be maybe a little less tight-fisted about it if we're able to. Again, we might be fighting for no reason, so be maybe a little bit more open-hearted about it, and not threaten to take funding from the Kelly Park programs or efforts to redo that. We're treating everything as as Hunger Games, for lack of a better way of explaining it. So let's talk about this in a way that is generous in heart. And when we get the numbers, I mean, we're going to have to make some decisions there. But
Well, I thought the purpose of this was to find out what we would cut.
You're
Okay,
saying
so normally what we were doing the last 3 days was saying, okay, that looks like an interesting number, maybe it's slightly lower. And if there's something to reduce, that's one to look at. What you've done here is basically said, split it in half or cut it in half. And that's the first time you've actually done that with any of these numbers these 3 days.
Well,
I'm going to be honest with you. This is the first time.
Well, last year it was a 5,000. That's why I was thinking 5,000.
Yeah, it was
this
based
year.
on the
I don't know
previous
why it's
year.
not in there, but
because it was a late ad.
Yeah.
So
That's all there
5,000.
was, and I was willing to do it for that.
All right, so that's
Starting now.
right. So you have the prerogative to make your own decisions about what you're willing to do and not to do. Our position is we're in a different position. Our position is our responsibility, fiscal responsibility to the village, saying that we feel we're willing to put X number of taxpayer dollars towards birdhouses, and that is a sufficient amount. And then it's up to you to say that's enough or not. It was enough in the past.
Amount.
What?
It's not a sufficient amount because I'm the one who tells you what's sufficient.
Right, you want more.
You not want more, it costs more. Okay?
Because you want to build more.
Because the demand is there.
Now, what if you just did a program for village kids and it was a few hundred birdhouses? Could you do that for $5,000?
No, I'm not doing that. That's not what
It's not what you want to do.
it's not what our business model
Right,
is
it doesn't
for.
work for you.
It
Ellie wants
doesn't
to give a
work. You're
comment.
not, okay.
Let's let Ellie talk.
First of all, I want to say I love birdhouses. I watch kids on the street looking at them, and because I'm at the museum looking out the window. However, I do think we need to keep it quality. And if we keep expanding it, like this year 1,500, next year 2,000, it dilutes the special nature of it. Cap it at 1,500. That's a wonderful number. And tell the people, get your application in early next year. So it'll be a prized application. Oh, we got the birdhouses. Make it something special instead of, oh, we don't have to worry, we can get one down the road. They're just going to keep adding on.
But does capping at 1,500 not put them in that 10,000 range still, or what's going on with
I don't
that?
know about the
Basically,
cost. That's not my area. I'm just
Well,
giving I want it to be special.
Okay.
I don't want it to be common.
Okay, my feeling is every person, every senior's work is special to them. This is a
It
non-competitive.
is if they work for it. It's not, if they, oh, I can get it anytime and I'll give it to me, blah, blah, blah.
Well,
But if
technically,
they know they have a deadline and there's only 1,500 applications,
okay,
it's special.
this
I
is,
know, there's
guys,
a whole stack.
this whole stack came in, this one's March 1st, and we told them March 5th, March 11th. I mean, some of these go back to February. I mean,
It's awesome. It
people
just,
are
It's
like-
awesome, but you're giving away, I mean, you're having them do it.
Needs to be
It's a
special.
freebie. I mean, I can go get a birdhouse and I can paint it and
and they turn it in.
they turn it in.
And we
and-
put them up and they feel a sense of pride, mental health.
I have no
the
criticism of your program. I just think
And as
it
a
makes sense
marketing
that you want to
tool,
keep expanding and getting
it's
bigger.
not that I want to expand it, is that all these people who didn't get a birdhouse aren't coming to the village.
You don't know that.
Right. So,
Well,
well,
no, you're
but I'm
right.
just
Some of them
saying,
But they'll be on the lookout next year because, damn it, they want.
They'll probably come to look at the other people.
all I'm saying is your tolerance for expanding is greater than our tolerance for expanding.
Let me work backward for a second here. We got holiday banners, 2,500, yay or nay?
I think there should be one.
Yeah, there's too many banners.
Too many banners.
So many banners.
I'm going to be honest with you. I think we should be restarting the seniors distinction banners for the high school.
Oh, yeah.
Seniors at high school.
Well, I think the school.
Well, maybe we do that too. Actually,
I mean,
seniors as a broad term.
If it's the school district, I think the school district should fund.
Maybe they would fund some of it, Liz, but it's our polls.
The school district.
Well, no, when we give them our room on our
The
polls.
school district didn't fund that. That was funded by the, what is it, like the sports
Oh, the Booster Club.
booster club.
That's
Thank you.
fine. They should support. I mean,
That's fine.
and then we'll put them up for them.
And they stayed up for a month and then they came down and kids got to take home their banners.
Yeah, that's a great program and it didn't cost us anything except some labor to put them up, right?
Right.
That,
But that's
that I'm
one.
fine
But you
with.
just said there's too many banners as a
Well-
general term here.
2,500 a
Good
shot.
night. Good night.
Thank you.
And I,
Thanks for coming.
So,
again,
So again, if we're looking to cut, I'd be okay cutting the spring banners, for instance. Or
The holiday.
if the
Whichever.
Committee on the Arts doesn't get their grant, I'd be fine cutting their grant. Again, given limited resources and if we need the money somewhere else. So,
right,
that's the context that we're even talking about this.
okay. So
So I'm lost now. So you got 17.5 there. What are you doing with it?
Verse 17.5.
25.10, 25.25.
The total is then.
Right, so I'd be okay, I wasn't happy, but I'm okay. Just, again, you put all these things down, you put us in the position of having.
I need your guidance at
Right,
the end of the day.
Okay,
my guidance is, I'd say if we need to save $2,500, we don't need the spring banners. If we need to save another $2,500,
take it off the
you can,
birdhouse program.
Which one?
well, there's
Which one? She
there's the
said a
festival.
number. She said a number. So that's
so you
fine.
don't want a festival this year.
Where's,
It's not that I don't want.
The 5th is the festival.
Like Ray keeps saying, we don't want this, we don't want, yes, we want
Hold
it.
on, there's confusion here. That's
I
why.
thought we
Get it
took that off the line because it
That's down below. It was
Down below.
duplicative. So now there's up top, the 5th annual
well
is
then,
the,
So it's 12,350.
then 2,500 for Ask
birdhouses.
5, 5,000 for Ask 6, and 2,500. And that at least brings the total of all of those down 10,000.
so you want to give 7,500 for a total of the 17.5 he's asked for.
That's giving a total.
I'm
for
asking the question.
What?
You just said 7,500 for the 17,500 he's asked for. He has 4 lines there, 2,500, 10, 2,500, 2,500. That's 17,500 in total.
What
Personally,
happened?
I'd like the full amount for the birdhouses. It's a very successful program. I think we should.
Both
Yes,
lines.
that's
Okay.
my personal
Thank you.
stance.
Well, we'll see what happens when.
But
Yeah,
you didn't answer my question. Are you saying 7,500 for the entirety of those 4 lines?
So
Those
Let her
4 lines,
answer.
no, I said 10,000.
10,000 for the 4 lines?
he's saying,
That's what I'm
She doesn't
trying to
know.
clarify.
2,500 plus 2,500 is 5,000 plus 5,000.
Oh, so it's
You talk-
5,000 for the 6th, you're saying?
Yeah.
you added the banners in. We're not talking about the holiday banners.
No, I'm talking about, I'm trying to get to a conclusion here. We have
Conclusion, I'm
17,500
saying,
in total there,
For
right?
what?
4
Which item?
lines, 4 lines
Which items?
that say ask next to them.
What was the spring band?
No, but we gotta say, what are we doing with those? Which,
I think for the
So,
fact
Mark-
of what we're lumping
This
here.
year,
So, Mark-
They're, for what? I'm
sorry, go ahead.
Oh, it's illuminated letters, so the kids are illuminated.
But that's for this year.
That's for this year.
But for this budget, what was?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, okay.
You know,
That
some of them
is-
are line.
17,500
Correct.
down to 10.
Okay, so you're saying $10,000 in the totality of that. Okay,
They can decide
what-
where to put it.
Ben, what is your view on those 4 items in totality?
I was gonna ask Mark, the festival, how important is the festival? What happens? And a lot of people come to that. Is that?
It's gonna be huge since we're celebrating Front Street being done too, right after
And all
it.
the press that they've been doing, yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be huge, but if you don't want it, we just gotta-
I'm asking. See,
It's
every
gonna
time
be-
I ask a question, doesn't mean I don't want it.
Then, if you don't, if you want it, you have to pay for it, okay?
Or somebody
You know,
else has to pay for it.
There is no one else. This is your village. This is.
What do you
your
mean we have to,
All right, let him.
Okay.
BSBPA?
This is, okay, wait.
gets-
You said 10,000, it's Ben's
Okay,
turn
wait,
to
wait,
talk,
I'm
and
sorry,
I've asked
I'm sorry.
Bernadette.
I'm saying we get
Confusion is-
money from everywhere
The
around.
confusion is that the
Just
festival
arguing
does
for
not
argument's
cost
sake.
2,500.
What's your number?
I guess I'm uncomfortable just lumping it. Can we say what we're spending this on?
Well,
So
you
we're
can,
saying-
but give me a lump for now, okay? So just figure out what your total is.
So as I've said, I'm more comfortable with 5,000 than 10,000 for birdhouses.
That's what I put in.
But if it includes the festival, I'll go up to 7,500
And you're saying one batch of banners or no?
and one
That should say the
one
number
batch
I
of,
came up with.
yeah, get rid of the spring banners if we have to.
Okay, what's your feeling for that? I just want to get the conclusion here.
If we're able to, I'd like to fully fund everything. If we must, spring banners maybe, but I'd like to figure out a way to make this work because things have been successful and I think positive for this community.
Mark will work on it. I'll see what I can do with the budget lines.
Could I just ask you, what do you want on the polls then in the spring? Because these are coming
Get
down.
another
soon.
group
Well,
like the school
Well,
to,
COA
their
is
banners on.
doing some kind of.
Unfortunately,
if
it's
they
the
get
Booster
money.
Club can't just do that now. They wouldn't be able to
well,
raise money.
I'm
in
sure there's somebody who would
But
like to
see
put banners.
Liz,
Has anyone?
COA has some
Committee on the Arts.
sorry, has two sets of banners that potentially they might do, although we said we would go down to 2,500 if we couldn't afford it because we don't necessarily
Yeah,
need
so
banners all
they'll
year
put the
round.
banners up in the spring.
Okay.
Hopefully
Next
we get
up.
the grant.
Okay.
Next up, let's let's get off ask at this
Okay, let's
point.
go to.
Let's go to celebrations. And I'm going to assume you're the one best versed to talk
Sure,
about
why
these.
not?
So let's just keep going. So we knocked down below banners for the fire department, $2,500. Talk about those.
Talk about them. This is going to be another similar to the program we've done before where kids, this is going to be an educational program. We're going to interview the fire department and talk. This is about teaching the community about the equipment that the firemen work with, firefighters work with, not the trucks per se, because that's what we did last time, the big equipment. This is about their oxygen tanks, their masks, their helmets, their clothes, their axes, so that kids can understand what these things are, how important they are, and it's also to help the community understand the cost of these things, what a oxygen tank costs, how long they last.
Are you sure you want to educate our taxpayers on what this stuff
I
costs?
think what it does is creates more kids that will want to actually volunteer as
Exactly.
firefighters.
Well,
I'm all right with it. Can you make banners that just last more than 1 year? I know you said that
the
it gets
point-
beat up.
The point of the banners is that, just like anything, you want to keep them changing so that we don't get bored, so that people continually are engaged. It's
But
all
you
about
can
engagement.
cycle them, take them down and
Just
wait a
did.
year.
Again, we're just trying to be cost effective,
Yeah.
given limited
And how many
resources.
banners, is 2,500? How many banners is that?
32.
Double sided or single?
Well, they're double-sided. Yeah, they're double-sided vertical.
Do we,
Well,
if we
where
had-
don't we put them? I mean, you don't put one, if you don't put them on Milton, those people are going to get this too. So, and really, we have enough hardware to put 2 sets of banners on each pole. So while like these are up, while the peace banners that we're putting up, we could also put up another series. So again, it's all about creating an engaging community where people go,
I
that's
think
not
about
important.
put 2 different.
I'm all right with the fire
subjects.
department banners. You know,
Yeah,
again,
I'd
if
rather
we're
see
stuck for
one,
money, if we.
one theme,
if
yeah.
Banners are
Well,
not
it's-
essentials, but if we have the money, I'm okay with spending it on. fire
Memorial
department.
Day, 4,000. I'm going to try to.
How come I thought we
don't.
don't pay for Memorial Day?
What is that for? We
So
didn't,
the ones I didn't get a request for, I think we just moved the number over. So if we don't need it, then we don't need
that would
it.
be good. We didn't,
VFW,
No,
right?
it doesn't have,
all right, so we're taking 4,000
Yeah,
out.
take the
That's
four,
good.
I was wondering
Yeah,
why,
yeah.
well, we don't pay
Maybe
for
we
that
should
parade.
double check with BFW
Well,
Well,
just to make sure that they're
And-
not.
and
Well,
it's-
there's no prior spending showing either. So that's,
Okay.
yeah.
4, 5, 6, 7
What?
celebrations in a year.
Liz, can we continue
All right, let's keep
instead
going
of
one by
going
No, I just want,
negative for?
no, I'm not, I'm just saying it's a lot.
Holiday parade was 1170. It looks like in terms of this last year. I'm assuming that is done being paid for, right?
Yeah, holiday's over.
I'm asking the treasurer.
what? Oh, I'm sorry.
I don't. Sorry.
No.
The 1170 for holiday parade. That would assume that we're done paying for that, right?
I don't think there's any more bills coming out.
So can we lower that to
Probably let's.
1,500?
I was going to
What was
say
that? That was
respectfully
like lights.
1,500. I would say, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was like lights and things like that.
That's good.
Okay, holiday decorations. We've been all over the map on this one, Mark. So help me out on this.
Well, again, each year we've renovated a set of the holiday decorations. We did the trees. The trees are done. The wreaths we did last year. The whatever candy cane things we did the 2 years ago. And now, what I'd like to do is add garland down the pole, sort of like what Saratoga does. It also gives another place to put, as you know, we always have a ton of Christmas. Every kid does a Christmas decoration, and the tree gets overwhelmed with it. So it'd be another place to put the.
Could we get away with 2,500 on that again, do you think?
Yeah, we
And
could do
survive
one
that?
street at a time.
I want to go back up for a second on Memorial Day because something did cross my mind, remembering from last year's. We need to create a sound system that maybe that we can use for more than just Memorial Day, because at the
Yeah, it was hard.
Yeah.
to hear.
So I would ask for maybe putting $1,000 in there for a sound system that we can utilize for other things as well as we need it.
Would that go on the celebrations or that would go?
I would put it in
another line?
Memorial Day and then we'd repurpose it for other purposes.
How much?
1,000.
Okay.
That's fine.
I think that just to be careful on that, because nobody could hear. It seemed like unless you're right up there, and that's too important not to have something. It's not the only thing we're
Easter
lacking.
egg hunt is
Wait.
200.
So wait, can I ask that for
Yeah.
500 for holiday decorations?
Easter egg hunt. What's going on there, Mark? Because I know that we have some Milton money. We have some money from different things maybe coming in for that or something. What's going on
Well,
there?
I just sent in a reimbursement for $564, I think, for the eggs, and we bought a bunny suit. Because we were borrowing them, and it's only $60.
Then we need a bunny.
Yeah, well, we have
bunny?
Grant's
You
grandson.
go inside the bunny?
He's a great bunny.
Oh, Jake's gonna do it again?
Jake's gonna do
That's
it.
awesome.
We didn't get a request for Easter egg specifically, so I just moved it over the 200.
Okay.
So does it need to be more than $200 for that?
Well, Milton gave some money too, correct?
Milton,
Right.
yeah, that
Wouldn't
was
that
the
still
Milton
go in
one.
here?
Because the Easter egg
I'm all right
hunt
with
takes.
that.
Yeah, what? So she didn't reflect correctly what Milton.
Just as they give things to us. we
Because they
give
didn't-
Milton's a
Yeah.
revenue, so we have to offset the revenue with the expense
Yeah.
now.
Their contract doesn't break it out though, so what is the amount?
I thought it was like 1,200 or something
Yeah,
like
it was
that.
gonna
Yeah.
use about 1,200. Plus, we're trying to raise some money for that.
Yeah.
We have to buy candy to fill the eggs and tape. Actually, costs a lot, actually.
So it's 200, that'll do it.
Well, no, 1,200, but that's
1,200.
including a portion of the Milton money.
That's the
But
Milton money.
is 200, that's gonna do it from us?
Well, no, you put 1,200 because you have to offset the revenue that was brought in.
So
from
you're
Milton.
gonna be
Wait.
putting the
Milton
revenue
It says
in.
200.
Milton
Right.
gave 1,000 though, and it's in revenue, so we have to save for the expense here at 1,200.
Oh, sorry, it's in revenue.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
That's, I didn't,
Yes.
yeah, that's
yes.
my fault.
And we'll get 1,000 back.
Okay,
You think we'll get 1,000 back?
It's in the revenue
Thought we
funds.
got
We
it.
got it,
yeah.
Oh, you already have it.
or we get
Yes, I
it.
didn't get a
Swimming
request.
under the
Tec-
stars. was
Technically,
way up.
Easter egg hunt, this is for next year's technically, so, but they've been getting,
For next
we're assuming they're giving it.
For this budget.
I
Okay.
think the t-shirts are,
Next year will be
I thought they
Price
already
went
gave, didn't they give t-shirts this year?
What?
yeah, they get
They did.
t-shirts.
Yes.
Every year, so
Oh,
why is it going up?
That's the pool,
No,
yeah.
that's the.
I think the t-shirts were expensive. If I recall, Kate Gars, I think she said the price went up.
I think
This-
though that
You only spent a little over
That's
3,000.
part of it, at least.
something weird happened here, because I know we were overspending at one point, and the food and
It's a lot
farm and
of
all that
money.
stuff.
Yeah, that's a
Um,
lot.
That's for one day, that's a lot.
So that's another one I didn't get a request for.
So when you
But
get a
she
request?
said $800 for t-shirts when we had the pool meeting.
So I'm going to assume that we probably do this for 4,500 again and leave it at that.
No, you don't think it's 4,000?
No, food was the other problem. I know that we were running high.
No,
on food.
that was, I volunteered for that
did
event,
too.
and that was,
I did too. What a coincidence.
Yeah,
yeah,
we were there.
you hung out at the pool, I was,
I was
No,
selling some
he
burgers.
helped. He helped hand out burgers.
So 4,500.
Let's compare volunteers.
I was going to say it was an event that's
Great.
really
It was a great event.
a great
Yeah.
event.
We're gonna have.
Like, sometimes we have to laugh, okay? Sometimes we have to laugh at each other.
What are you having for drink? Oh, we're gonna.
Falling leaves we even had.
No, but it's actually one of the most requested events that we don't have for some reason.
I don't even remember.
What goes on there? I don't
There's a
remember.
race that goes along with it and everything else.
No, that's, you're thinking of the thing at Brookside race.
No, there's a falling leaves race.
Who does
Oh,
that?
okay.
Who will organize the race? That's a big organizing effort.
There's people, there's a guy, I think, in the
I
area.
think like Joe Ace.
I guess, well, is your task force gonna organize it?
Oh, you're talking about the whole event?
Yeah,
Who's, I mean, it says mayor's task
I'm
force.
running.
Who is running this 3,500? I mean, that's a question then. Well, you were talking about running some other things that were.
Somebody's
related
gonna be running.
yeah. I
Like
mean, this is more events than most municipalities do,
And that's a bad thing?
if it costs
Well,
money. Yeah.
Well, for example, the mayor's task force is listed as for the banners, the fire department banners, and you're doing that. Who's doing the Falling Leaves Festival?
This is something that has historically fallen on the village. So we're going to do it. It's us doing it. It's just a question of who's setting it up. Is the task force going to undertake Falling Leaves? Yes or no? And stop
No.
back there. No.
You're not.
So then let's take
So
it
it might
off.
not
Wait a
happen.
minute, wait a minute. Are we gonna tackle that one more?
Well, we did spend $500 toward it.
Who asked her?
Did Meg Stevens used to help organize that one?
She probably did. Well, who asked for 3,500 bucks?
The task
If
force.
no one's volunteering, no, I know, but if no one on the task force is volunteering to do it, who said, let's do it?
Yes, we're gonna do, well, we're gonna,
I think
This is for Front
No, I
Street
don't
Games
think you guys
display
will have to
prizes
do that
candy.
part.
But who
Usually
submitted, who said
somebody who's
3,500
part of an
for, if they're
running
not willing to do it?
organization will do the race.
I think we zero it out.
The festival part.
yes, we're gonna do it. But we're gonna
Get it out
reimagine it.
or keep
You
it
know,
in?
the
There's
Elks
part of
did
it that
it
is-
the one year. That's when they had the great pumpkin shooter, which we
So-
can't do on Front Street.
All right, well, let's go down to,
Are
I'd
we
say go,
keeping falling leaves or not?
I'd say
Take it off and let's another organization.
I'd say at least take off 1,000 if we don't have
God bless
any
them,
idea
let
what we're
someone else do
doing.
it.
Well,
I'm gonna put a dash next to it as a possible casualty later on.
Or at least lower it.
I mean,
Yeah.
we had to do the Easter egg hunt because
Time
no
out.
one,
Winterfest, I know that this was hoping to happen. It didn't,
may
obviously.
not happen
Yeah,
ever
not
again.
our fault.
Why do we need $5,000?
Yeah, that's,
is that for labor?
No.
It says to
No.
fund Winterfest events, sledding on Bath Street and
What does that
food
mean?
and tent and games.
Oh, yeah, we were gonna do it.
We
the
don't.
thing is
so
the
let's
weather
not
is so
spend that much.
unpredictable to do outdoor events. It could be 20 degrees.
Yeah, but you end up with $2,000 in fund balance because it didn't get used. So, I mean, there's the philosophy here.
Yeah, do 2,000. I would, I mean, 2,000 is a lot for Winterfest. It's never happened before. Just a bunch of snow and people go down, they have fun and there's
Yes.
hot chocolate at the fire. There's no expense. So that I'd say you could get rid of completely if we're running out of money, or
Yeah,
just put it
sure.
down to 2,000 or whatever,
Yeah.
1,000. Hey, what are you going to do? What do you need to
Maybe
tell
should
us?
ask what was planned before you start.
We were gonna have tents and warming tents and food.
Yeah,
and
warming
low-cost food.
tents, that's, you
That's
got a lot
nice.
of expense there. Try to keep the
It was
tents.
only
down.
$500.
It-
Tents don't get.
All right,
used
I'd
a
say
lot.
2,000 if
Yeah,
you want to
we
do it.
could do it. I mean, you know,
Okay,
All
again,
right.
it should draw people in post-COVID.
I have nothing
everyone-
against that, but.
You
have anything
just
against
a matter of
flags?
money.
And the flags one too, I just moved the
Flags.
number over.
Our Memorial Day flags are always bought fresh for the posts.
All
No,
right,
so that's zero?
that's
No, it's
2,000.
2,000.
Did we buy them last year?
yeah, that we have to buy fresh flags every year.
Did we
I
do
think
that
it was
last
Jen
year,
who
or
talked
did-
about that. 'Cause I didn't-
I'm not sure why it didn't appear on the old spending, but this is notoriously ours.
All right.
I will recheck for you, Ben, before I put it in to make sure 100% on that, okay?
What about my other budget request?
Like the $4 million for Patriot missiles?
Yeah.
I don't think we can quite do it, but you know,
Okay.
you've asked for too much for the birdhouses, so no Patriot
We'll
missiles.
take one.
Patriot
We'll
Bird
take
House.
this one.
Okay, well, we have one more thing here. Family Fun Day. Go ahead, Liz.
Liz, why Liz? How about Mark and?
She was scheming to say it already. I felt it.
Do you have any questions?
You know, looking at the pictures is about 200, 300 kids, and I thought,
What?
Oh, no.
Well, looking at the aerial pictures, there
I
wasn't
took
that
the
many.
pictures at 3 o'clock
Well,
from the roof after I almost fell off.
okay.
I know what the day was. We don't have
The
to
thing
argue
is,
about
what is the prime purpose of Family Fun Day?
Family
we
fun.
know that.
No,
To give back to the community.
to, I
Provide,
always got the feeling it was more for well, it was originally to have
For
the kids
families.
go up to the fair.
No.
No, it was,
No.
the venue was the fair. It was not
Venue,
that.
but then they had tables at the fair, but then. they
We
would-
basically moved the event from the fairgrounds down to Front
No, but
Street. in
when
the
it was
same
originally
hotel.
done, when I first moved here, it was so the kids, could go to the fair and there were
No.
village.
Oh, okay, out of fairness, what she's suggesting is that because of the expense of the fair, the idea she thought was that this is, you're going to the fair sell kids, but it's a much cheaper, fun experience. In reality, no. What it was just a fun day. That was not the way it was related to the kids. or anything like that. Yeah, that wasn't it.
there was no.
But it was.
I
at
get
the
where
fair,
you're going with it, but
No,
that
it was
wasn't it.
what, but
The venue just happened.
Yes.
no, but the fair was going on.
No,
No.
it was
Oh,
never
was it?
going
No.
on. No.
It was always the 4th of July. The
Okay.
fair's not till August.
Okay.
The,
That was, I misunderstood.
Late July, last week.
Late July,
So
you're right.
I'm uncomfortable. All right, I'll start with great day and lots of nice feedback on it. And I support the effort and I thank you for the effort. And I think it was a very nice thing to do. That took a lot of work. Again, it's just a matter of, proportionally, where do we need to spend our money? And so I'm uncomfortable with going that high.
What's high?
16,270.
Okay.
So, you did a great job for the 8,500. I could see adding 1,000 to that.
Wait. No, 8,500 was only a portion of the money.
That's what we did,
Right,
the
but the-
village.
Right, but the budget was 21 or 22, or 23.
But you didn't account for it through the village for about
Correct.
9,000 of it.
The whole program, right.
Yeah, we didn't see that.
Because in this case, Ask was able to fundraise and utilize alongside the village. in that
Well,
it's
that
just-
should continue, I would hope.
Well, he's
Right.
not saying it's not. He's saying that
So
the
we-
portion not accounted for is
Right.
this.
Right. So for me, again, it's what can we afford? What's a reasonable amount to spend on a single day? I have a hard time spending more than $10,000 of village money on a single day. So the request would be to make it work at the budget that's there.
Well, no other program costs anywhere near that we do for celebrations. The most expensive one is Swimming Under the Stars. No, is Swimming Under the Stars. And I think.
Because you can buy a lot of bounce houses and other kinds of things that you need for the day. I mean, I think we paid for the equipment and stuff for that
I mean,
day,
if there
right?
was two less bounce houses, would it really make that much
No, but see,
difference?
but one thing that you guys don't realize is that they will not rent us bounce houses again unless their labor's there, because our volunteers walked away.
That wasn't good enough.
You were the exception.
No, I had to find relief for you, I think, at one point.
Well,
Thank you for
that's
that.
even more reason to cut down the numbers.
Please don't
so
use
you-
my words to.
What?
No, if you can't find enough volunteers who are
So
gonna
now
stay
it costs
there.
more. So we need fewer bounce houses if they're gonna.
But that's not
triple
the
price.
major expense. I mean,
What was the major expense on that?
I mean, that was there was a lot of there was the bounce houses, the music,
Porta potties.
the porta potties,
Porta potties are
the
expensive.
food, the
the
the crafts, the games, all that stuff had to be great. The prizes was a
Yeah.
fortune.
I mean, so 10,000, you can buy a bunch of stuff. I mean,
That's still a
Plus
pretty
the
pricey
fundraising.
day. 10,000 for a one-day event. I mean, compared to the other events, which bring out a lot of kids. I mean, the parades, holiday brings out a lot
Can
more
you try it
people.
with 10,000? I mean, it was 8,500 last year.
That's.
Gina wants to say something and then maybe,
No, I just love that we're being told, well, you have to do it this way for this much. Why don't you guys step up and do it? Ben, Liz,
Step
take your
up.
10,000 and you go do Family Fun Day.
Do you have anything else to say?
We have,
No, I mean, you're
I mean,
sitting
we're
there like an
raising-
expert.
we're raising, I mean, as you see, we're raising over $25,000 already for the program. So, you know, that's what we're bringing to the table if we get all the grants, okay?
This is just for celebrations?
This is just for Family
Well,
Fun Day.
The total, okay,
Okay, so we're going beyond what you guys are.
but the thing is, it's the scale that you do things. You want to do bigger and better and, you know, programs which cost more money,
And bring more people in.
but
Well, it's a matter of
And
balancing.
compared to
it's a diminishing return on
how is it-
bringing more people. If you could show me the statistics that show that this,
Here,
For me, it's
show
just
you the
money. How much is it reasonable for a village to spend on a
Donna
single
and,
day?
Donna and Terry are both with, task force, right?
Yeah, they're about, yes.
Any input you want to give toward this one? Because I would value it at this point, I think.
I'm going to say something about. I would like to see us get funded at the amount we requested, because we do spend it on something that means something to the people who live in the village, and it means something to the children of the village. And I believe that anything we can do for the children is, there are other things we spend money on that, yes, are important, but nobody gives me in the village. You know, I'm sorry, but
like what?
I think like some of the new trucks that we get, I don't know if we spent any money on bike trails or not. How many people ride bikes and use the bike trails or the walking trails? I think things that make people that live in this community feel good about the village. Yeah, we've got to take care of the underground sewers and the water tower and all the other crap. But we also have to do something that makes them feel good. I will happily take whatever money you give us, and I will see that we raise the money that we need. Gina said, don't say that, but I'm gonna say it anyway, because I think the people of this village would agree with us that that's what they value. And I think that if they knew that they could have the celebration, we could raise the money for it, they would help us do it. That's my feeling. I might be totally wrong, but
You like the requested amount of somewhere in the 14 to 16 range, basically. If
I do, because I know Mark would get it, but that doesn't impress me as much as Mary Lasky helped us with it.
that's true.
And Mary Lasky knows how to do budgets.
Yeah.
And if she was comfortable that that's what we need to do, what we want to do, then I'm comfortable with that. And I would like to see that happen. I'd happily spend my tax dollars or give my charitable donations to support it.
You do so much for this community in the first place. I would never, ever ask anything else of you in that respect. Terry, did you want to give any input?
I'll piggyback exactly what Donna said. I totally agree. And as a parent, when my kids were young, Family Fun Day first started, oh my gosh, it was something for them to look forward to. Parents, me, didn't have a fortune, didn't have to spend a fortune, and that was something they remembered all year long, and they look forward to the next year. A lot of families in our community do not have the money to take their kids to the movies or to the fair, or a lot of places that maybe you could have taken your kids. These kids that are here will never forget this. And their mental health and their sense of community, and that their community cares about them, to me, that is invaluable.
Yeah, go ahead.
Can I just add
Absolutely.
something? There's a lot of hidden poverty in our village and our county.
100%.
If you work at the school and you talk to the people that are like the guidance counselors, I know because my church has a huge food pantry. I know the people that you wouldn't think go hungry, they come to the food pantry. If there's one day that they have a good time, that's worth it to me. And I think I'm a person who puts my money where my mouth is. I give money to Proctor's, to the Rotary, to my church,
Brookside.
to Brookside, yes.
Yep.
And I'll give money to what we need to do for the village.
You're getting me emotional now. You're gonna have to stop now, okay? Yeah, you're getting me emotional.
I mean, I'm happy to spend $10,000 of taxpayer money.
Yes, that's turned
Okay.
Yeah.
So just that day, I got emotional, totally emotional. Because I cannot tell you how many parents, there's a woman that lives right above Henry's.
Yeah.
With a child with, I can't remember, it might've been autism. And, she has a tween daughter and then the young son, and he couldn't engage or do anything at the fair or sort of those type of events. But those few hours we had that were very sensory focused were amazing. And that meant a lot to her, that her child could be integrated in this community. I had other parents say to me, people right in our own village, this year has been so hard financially. Last year,
Yeah.
We couldn't afford to do a lot of the things that my kids normally look forward to. And this was really wonderful that this happened. I remember kids at the prize table. I was overwhelmed. And I thought for sure the kids would be more excited about the sticky hands and the slinkies. They were super excited just to get school supplies. Like kids and parents, the kids are feeling it just as much as the parents are worrying about it. So this integrated a lot of things that were, I think, not just giving the relief and enjoyment for the children, but fed them very affordably, gave them school supplies, a lot of school supplies. It's something that I think is worth spending funds on. And if that's the financial figure that Mary Lasky and that whole team thinks is reasonable and what is needed, I would like to see it fully funded.
The thing is, I mean, one of my thoughts on that was, don't give so much of the little plastic stuff. Give something has value, like school supplies.
I think they learned from last year.
Because it was a lot of plastic, which not so great for the environment anyways.
Well, there was a internal fight, if I remember correctly, that nobody's going to want school supplies, and that ended up being the most popular item.
Donated or?
No, I put it all at Walmart.
Yeah.
Everything.
Well, those are the things. I know one day and it's special, but we have a lot of days here. And when it comes to
Look
those
around.
children
They don't.
But what would you rather have? More food on your table and more good clothes, or would you rather have a special day?
I think it doesn't have to be an either or.
Well,
I think
we have
we're not the ones that are figuring out how to feed them. We're the ones trying to provide them community. And I don't think that we're trying to, I don't think that's an either or. I think we should be trying to figure out ways to give them more in the way of providing them a true home. And I don't really know where you were going with that, but I genuinely think that we have no concept sometimes really how some people don't have stuff. And, we're here to represent all the people in this community, even those who are marginalized financially. And that means providing where we can some special days for them when they really don't get those very often.
My parents were World War II refugees. They lost everything.
Mm-hmm.
They came to this country with a suitcase.
Yeah, a lot of our families did.
And this country probably helped give them a better life with their hard work alongside it, right?
Yeah, my father started as a draftsman, even though he had the equivalent to a master's degree in engineering, because he had to learn the language and he climbed his way up. But so, I have some appreciation for, they actually starved in Europe before they came. I mean, there's pictures of
Yeah, and
them.
my grandfather
that's
was
what we
in prison
represent
by
in
the
America here
Japanese.
in our
and the-
village.
Yeah, okay, so that's the background, so I do understand. But as a village, if we were, one of those rich villages down in Long Island, we could do everything. But we're not.
But I
Well,
think
you're not saying
what's
don't do it.
wonderful is
I'm
that
not
we're a
saying don't do
community
it, but we can
that
only do so
might
much.
not be the richest, but we have the heart that wants to be that generous.
Okay.
So
But
I don't know. That's just where I
I'm
stand,
looking
Mayor.
here
I'd
at
like to see it
the
fully funded.
numbers compared for this whole category with everybody, it went from 72,000 this year to 137,000, 90% increase. And now we've got it down, it's still 100,000,
That's not fully accurate because some of the things are late funded that aren't showing up in the funding, I don't think.
yeah, but just looking at if the funding
Mayor,
is
as a
equal,
percentage
it's
of the
just,
budget, what roughly
So-
is that?
It's large numbers.
What was the total number now you said? Is
well,
that updated?
if we only put 10,000 towards,
Put 14 in there just for shiggles.
Just for math.
Yeah.
All right, so
I just want the number.
I asked him a question.
44% higher than
I just want the number,
104,000.
104,000 is basically. For the love of goodness here.
I can't do nothing. I had to do life.
If we can afford it without touching any of the essential
Less than
services.
2%. Less
Yes,
than-
it doesn't matter. It's
Well, I
whether
asked him a
balance
question,
is-
Liz.
She
I
asked
asked
me
him
a
a
question.
question.
All
Less-
right, I'm
less than-
saying the revenue we get in, and we have a 2% tax cap. We can afford all this, fine, but we're not gonna cut essential.
No one's saying
Services.
that. No one's
Okay, if we
saying
can
that.
afford it, but if we can't, something's gonna cut. And I have not gone through one budget cycle or watched one budget cycle where we're done at this point.
Nobody says you are. Though, again, I've said it since last week, correct me if I'm wrong, the intent of these workshops is to focus on discretionary expenses across the board. We didn't touch PS. We explained a couple of things on PS lines because those aren't really discretionary. If we have a certain edict on what we're doing with them. Benefits, same issue. We looked at categories across the board. The things that concerned me in the last hour is that this was the harshest tone you took on any expense line, whereas every other expense line kind of were like, okay,
Well,
it
that's
looks
the
good.
one
Maybe
where I got
we
yelled-
gadget a little bit, then
No, because
that one
it's
you
the
might
one,
want to cut.
it's the one that we got yelled at.
No, for every department, we went through line by line, and I know I made a point of saying and you asked, where can we cut? Here, there, where? And it's my opinion, it's just my opinion. I'll take responsibility for my opinion. I think it's enough to spend $10,000 in a day. I think you can have a great day. You do extra fundraising as needed. You can provide a lot of giveaways and food for $10,000. So that's a number I'm comfortable with for one day for this size village. I would like to see it happen again.
But can I ask you a question? And I don't mean to be rude when I say it this way, Ben, but I got to ask you this question. You talk a lot about people going out and fundraising. Help them.
I feel, well, I'll do what I can, but you know what? I got a lot of hours I'm helping the village by being a trustee, and that's a ton of time. It's 10:20.
I'm well aware.
Yeah, we all know. So my ability to help, I was hoping I could do more grant writing actually, but I have a full-time job, and I find this job very enervating and a lot of hours. And so I haven't been able to do as much as possible, but I'll do what I can. It's hard for me to promise I will do X, Y, or Z specifically. But I think it's good to fundraise, and I'll do what I can, but I can't promise you I'm going to raise $1,000, $2,000, can't do that.
Yeah.
So anyway.
This is our volunteer. Our time professionally is worth a whole lot more than we're making. That's what we're donating to this village.
No, we all are.
Well, we all are donating.
I've got the edicts on this, and that's certainly put down here, and then I know where to go with it if I need to.
So it's, the thing is
All right.
we're talking about hiring Bob Rice said hire a full-time.
It's Bob Fox.
Bob Fox, sorry.
Bob Price has got to cut some trees.
Anyways, that could cost us $70,000-$80,000 with benefits. Where's that gonna come from?
And nobody in this office fully agrees with a full-time yet, because we're still trying to get the part-time scenario to actually work. The thing you've been asked to do is stop the 6-month issue, make it a full year for now, or at least a full permanent position, and then
Again.
allow us to do it. And if you want to take off the Saratoga County approach, then Carla reminded me to remind you today again that yes, it is in code, so it would have to be a
I know,
code
we should
change.
start on it.
It'll take time, and
Yeah, but if we don't ever.
To hire someone
It has to
outside of
be-
the county.
I think we should,
outside.
what some places do, contiguous counties.
All right, we don't have to solve this, but the fact is, there's other expenses that are looming, many of them.
can I get a motion to adjourn at 10:24
I'll
PM?
make the motion.
Trustee Baskin, trustee Fontaine, discussion, all in favor, aye, opposed, we
All
are
right, I'm
closed.
sorry I raised my voice, thanks.
Let me see, close.